We're live once again. Uh, okay. Hmm. Huh. Hold on. I feel like something's not working. Am I crazy? Let me see. Oh, I can't see the preview of my stream. Oh, there it is. Okay. That threw me off for a little bit. Sorry, everyone. Hopefully, no connection issue today. Goal, still working on our prototype, following along with the design that we have come up with. I just released my weekly update, so at least I don't have a deadline to meet. But next target is at least an ugly version of the prototype, but a prototype that shows a little bit of the game. Um, so we'll see how that goes. A Void. Void claims first as usual. I'm still getting started here. I'm sorry I've been coming on late. I know Celine was like, hey, I can't get on because it's so late now. I'm going to try to see if I can make my schedule a little bit better so that the originals, the OGs, can join us. Hey, Zero, welcome. It says, it's Zero. It says, hey. Wait, I don't recognize your name. Were you named something else before? Voice says, see ya in few as. All right, see you, Void. Thanks for stopping by. Making our little announcement live now. Well, I'm not sick anymore like I was 2 days ago, or I'm not feeling sick. But I am a little groggy. Ooh. And of course, at the beginning of the stream, I always sneeze because I'm allergic to streaming, apparently. Zero says, I've been Zero. Okay, well, man, sorry. I just don't remember people, I guess. Ooh. King Slayer says, what is this? This is a stream. This is a stream for game dev. We're making game development. We have been working on this for a while. We're on Godot. I've officially upgraded to 4.6, which is just out. It's got a slick new UI. It looks nice. So hopefully nothing that already exists breaks. But yeah. So we're in the middle of working on letting the stamina cost be a limitation for action. Meaning I need some indicator for the action buttons to be disabled. And then I need them to check and allow for stamina usage. So I think the first thing we were doing here was going into the action implementation, which is the action helper. We have our action helper here, being very true to our design here, making sure that we stick with our system design, which has been helpful. It's going to be probably pretty boring next few stream in that I will probably be working to finish this prototype. Nothing new is going to happen except some of the playthroughs, which makes it a perfect time to ask me questions about anything or co-working as we do. And I will make sure I don't have any background music on for anyone else except myself so that it doesn't distract you guys. Okay. I'll put Chillhop on for myself. If I can figure that out. A little sniffly, but I was fine until I started streaming. So it seems like I am definitely impacted by the fact that I have to stream. Which sounds like an excuse to not want to stream. But I promise it's not an excuse. All right, I'm going to make sure that the right things are disabled here. Okay, it's right here. Oop, I didn't mean to close that. Sorry, everyone. I'm just doing volume control for the music in my ear. Okay, we're good. Thanks for the sub, Rob. Welcome. Okay. I'm such a silly person. Apparently, I just disabled it. Disabled the music I forgot that it was playing on browser and I just closed the browser as soon as it was set up. Silly me. There it is. Okay. We're here. We're ready, I think. All right, let's get started. So last time, before I disconnected, where YouTube just wasn't working for me, I changed some of the stream setup as well. So it should be a little bit better. Overall, more delay, maybe? Hey, thanks for the sub, Golo. Golo Magoth. Welcome. All right. I gotta zoom in my screen so everybody can see it. Okay, so on execute, we checked out the action node and we said, is this a player action? And we're getting the player action information. And then we decided if the stamina is sufficient by checking and comparing. And if it is sufficient, it'll go succeed. If not, it's going to say, hey, insufficient stamina here. And then also, not only stamina, I believe cooldown is something that I need to check. It's where var is action cooldown ready or something like that, right? And that one is probably true here as well in the beginning. But if it is a player action, we need to check it. So if it's not ready, we're going to say, hey, cooldown not ready. Otherwise, we're going to execute and return success here. The synchronization of functions are always a little tricky when it comes to coordinating sounds and animation. That's something that I haven't found a standardized way to handle that I feel always like successful about. So we'll probably get around to that eventually. Okay. I have to set this up. Probably get the action node and look at the cooldown here. And basically, we want to check that cooldown is greater than equal to 0, or less than equal to 0, meaning there's no cooldown remaining. Cool. That'll work. That also means we got to display actions to have cooldowns here. So we're going to probably manipulate the button information here. There's several ways to do cooldown. We can do progress bar that fills up here. We could do circle. I don't know what's the best way to do it. Maybe I'll do a circular progress bar. We'll see. May or may not work. Cool down. Progress. And then, hi, Foha. Long time no see, actually. It's been a while, huh? We're going to do counterclockwise here. Radial fill. Initial angle is 0. Fill is 360. I don't think I'm going to have any texture per se. I'm going to test this by putting some values here. And then providing some texture here. I'll do a flat one for the background. This gradient, texture, noise texture. I thought there was a way to do just color, if I'm not mistaken. (64 by 64). I don't see the dimension of it, actually. I mean, I guess it's this. Step page 1, we set the value to be this. I guess the tint is a separate one. I'll have to come with the texture for it specifically, I think. So let's say the cooldown texture. I'll make a 64 by 64 one. Hojerik says, cool sword, but can it make a grilled cheese? You know, that's a good question, actually. Can it make a grilled cheese? I'm going to go off of my limb and say it probably couldn't. It doesn't have the holes to detach the cheese after it cuts. Silliness aside, I'm sure it can, right? I would have to believe that it can. Um, hey, Tenorous. Hi. Who else is here? We got Foha, we got Tenorous saying hello. Foha says, I've been busy. Is this a new project? Yes, more or less. Um, for those of us who's been keeping up, basically, I started a new one as part of like the attempt to make smaller games. Like we want to finish a game, and I have been doing this like weekly update on my YouTube as like a devlog slash this is what I'm going to do this week and this was what I have done this week thing. And I've been challenging people to join us in our Discord to finish a game together and use me and the community as a accountability. And we've been having a lot of people joining, updating their progress weekly. They've been saying, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I want to do. This is what we have done so far. So we are getting a lot of look into a lot of cool projects that are being completed, which makes me motivated now. Now I'm committed to finishing my game along with these people because I told them to come in and they did. So it's double whammy out here. So yeah, this is that game. This is part of that project. Working on this kind of like Baldur's Gate 3 inspired tactical game, but it's going to be roguelike, so it's like combat to combat. And I'm imagining it's going to be very similar to like Slay the Spire in that you get reward every combat, and then you can have this like different story nodes or like shops and stuff like that in order to make your characters build, except it's like an RPG character. So instead of deck building, you're building your character by buying and equipping items, upgrading their talent tree and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. In my head, it looks fun, but obviously implementation is where it matters. So we'll see. I think it's going to be under UI action panel, and I'm going to make a cooldown circle for now, which eventually will probably get replaced. But once again, um, this sprint is not about the beauty. It's about the finishing. All right, here it is. See? I mean, it works. It's just always a little bit interesting. So you can see how like this radial thing can have a value. Let's say it starts with 3, 2, 1, 0. And you can see that the cooldown can be indicated this way. I'll probably put a little label number for second, or not second, but like this, like 3 turn, like so. And that's going to be probably bottom right corner, maybe, or maybe it should be center bottom. It should be center bottom, I think. We'll make it center bottom, like so. So it'll do 3 turn, 2 turn, 1 turn. Tenor says, got a work meeting in 20 minutes that will last a few hours, but figured I'll pop in for a bit. Yay. I appreciate that. Golderock says, hello, hi. How delayed am I on YouTube? I know there's going to be a little bit of delay because I changed my stream setting, but I'm doing this for the sake of stability because I've been struggling with connectivity here as a dual stream. Foa says, hello, Tenorous. That's cool. I've put my project on hiatus to focus on life. I still practice composing orchestral tracks for it, though. Hard to see what icon it is when it's cooling down. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of part of the jig. But obviously, I could just put the progress like this behind. If I turn off the overlay, you could kind of see it. Unless I do transparency. So I could always tint it to be a little bit transparent, I think. Maybe like this. Yeah. Like that. That's okay, right? Not as bad. It grays it out a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so next thing here, I'm going to have to give it a little bit of an export variable for managing the cooldown progress here. So we'll say starting cooldown will be given as an integer, and then we're going to say current cooldown, and that will be set whenever. So I was like, nice, it reads much better. That's good. That's what we want here. This one should update based on this, obviously. So let's see. I could set it as a cooldown image update. So we'll say func cooldown render update. And then that's going to just simply use the onReady. Man, it's kind of a little trippy. The new UI for Godot on 4.6. This is my first day trying to use it, and it's nice. It looks nice. It looks a little too sleek for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too fancy. I get confused. I like the theme though. Definitely feels similar to VS Code. Let's see. So we got the cooldown progress here. We're going to set its value, and then we're going to set its max value to something, and then we're going to update the cooldown label here as well. CD label, which will always be boom text, this many turns, and then we're going to provide the current cooldown. So this will be current cooldown, and then this will be starting cooldown. Boom. And then let's see. When this updates, we're gonna update the thing. I feel a little dazed. I'm definitely still tired. I feel everything feels a little bit surreal for some reason. Feels a little floaty, little dreamy, as if I'm not like actually awake right now. It might be the fact that I have Chillhop lo-fi in my ear and nobody else is hearing it. It's just me that's hearing it. But here we are. It's okay. All right, I'm gonna close this out. I'm gonna keep as little tap as possible because my computer, I don't know if I can handle it right now. So we have that, and on ready, we're gonna do some update here. Cooldown update. By default, I think I'm gonna set the starting to be 1 and then current to be 0. So there's no cooldown. Cooldown render will update. That also means that I think while the cooldown is on, we got to make it so that the probably the action is disabled, right? Is press enabled, which I guess by default can be true. But basically, when it's disabled, I want to prevent the pressed. So we'll say under the process, we got the press, it's okay. On GUI input, basically, if it is not enabled, then we're not going to handle the GUI event, which is the press event here. Things are updating. Very good, very good. I suppose another thing we can do is on the cooldown render update, we also need to make sure that if the current cooldown is greater than 0, meaning there is cooldown remaining, then the pressed will become disabled. Hopefully this will work. Or not this, is press enabled will be false. And otherwise it will be, okay, I guess that means this is how we are going to do that check. Is press enabled? As long as it is less than or equal to 0, it is enabled when this updates. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so that's all the action button aspect. Next thing is we need to make it so that that updates based on the information update, like the action information update. So on combat driver, we have action helper, where the execute comes from. So I suppose action helper should be used to retrieve action information. The action node is already there. Try to think when the GUI update should happen. So right now, I made it so that the display calls directly to the helper. And then helper chooses the combat implementation. And then if there is any game component that needs to be controlled, the combat action implementation directly accesses the control to manipulate the data, do visual implementation and all that. But we have this like overall another set of data, and this data happens to be action related data. I almost feel like this one needs to listen to the action change. You know what? I'm going to do a simple signal. I'm going to have this actually call back here for listening to change. Listen for action data change on display. Hey, Devi says, when you're at the grocery store and Ezra drops a live stream, well, I'm in a long line, so it works. Can you even hear me on a grocery store? What do? Do you just put earbuds in? Hey, don't be that person, you know. The lines are moving. You're too mesmerized by watching me that you forget to move forward. You know, I say I support responsible support of your favorite streamer. Devi says, I can, lol. It's in my headband. Oh, cute. Nightbat says, hi. Hi, Nightbat. Welcome. All right. So I think I'm going to actually add one signal that's like signal action data changed. And then I think what it's going to do is probably just hand over the action node, the implementation of the action node. And then we're going to hand over the, I guess, is there anything else I need to? No, that's it actually. So this implementation will be added. All these things are great. Action already has cooldown information in there. Sick. So during execution, thanks for the sub, Vin. Vin 50,000 on YouTube. Welcome. Denier says, berries, Godot berry. How do I change? It's the switch berry or change berry. I think it's change berry and then like name the berry you want to change. Or if you just do change berry alone, then it toggles through your berry one at a time. And if you have a shiny version, you can always turn it on and off by doing shiny command. Hey, Domi V. Thanks for the follow. Oh, hey, you were... I'm guessing that's the same person on Twitch and YouTube. Double follow. Beautiful. Appreciate you. We love a good supporter. Selfishly enough. All right. Let's see. We got the action helper here, which I guess part of the execution, I think I need to immediately update the cooldown. So we're going to set the current cooldown of the node to be the cooldown value, the configured cooldown. I almost feel like this needs to be a function in itself, because there could be a case where I might add items that impacts the cooldown or abilities that impacts the cooldown. And if I'm doing this like hard-coded execution on this part, what if I want to use it somewhere else, right? So I think I'm going to make a extra function here, which will be start cooldown, and then it's going to be maybe the action name, and then that's going to do one of these things, probably like so. So I can say, hey, you know what? Start cooldown here. Something that we can't forget. At the end of the turn, I want certain actions to be executed here. So action helper is also available on state nodes, which means we definitely need a countdown cooldown. for... Ooh, this might be a little bit tough. I might have to have them give the action name and then amount. This could be an over-engineering thing, but since I made it a plan to handle enemy action through Action Helper as well, potentially, that I may have to make it so that it's more generally applicable where actions are owned by different people. I almost feel like this information needs to come from the data controller, like past the when the action gets implemented, that information gets registered onto the data. But I feel like that's too many like passing of data. Anytime you pass a data over to something else, you're always risking like a mistake, a point of failure, I feel. So I'm going to keep it here for now. Maybe it'll change. But basically, I'm going to say current cooldown will be max between 0 and then the current cooldown minus the amount. And that should do it. We're going to start the cooldown on the action name here. Cool. And then we're counting down the cooldown with this function. Sick. And then we have the cooldown check here. So for the display, when the action button gets pressed and it gets connected to something on action pressed, it's calling action helper.execute. We're going to have execution result, and we may have to do a different error messaging or flow based on what this ends up being. And we have a few cases here, which is under action helper. Okay, so we'll have action helper, execute result. We have success. And then we have all these things. There you go. The only thing about the match, like the switch case version of GD script, is that it doesn't flow through, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it does. But we'll see. Okay. So on success, that's that. On insufficient stamina, that's that. On cooldown, not ready. Maybe we'll have some information, but for now, it's just going to not do anything. Technically, I could say, hey, because I'm on display already, I could just like do a flicker warning. Should I do that? Oh, maybe I should do that. But then what about the sound coordination? That could be a little bit tough. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like this is where things start to get a little bit messy. Right now, nothing needs to happen. Missing anything? Ooh, hold on. Okay, this is my first time trying to launch the project after updating to 4.6. So something might break here. Oh, okay, we're good. Okay, I need to make it so that the label doesn't show up. Okay, let me update this. Button. I know it looks ugly right now. That's the whole point. I'm trying to make it ugly first and make it work. And then all I have to do is update the enemy and polish a little bit. Trying to compartmentalize because I want to verify the funness of it as soon as I can. Devi says, heading back home now. I'll be back in a little bit. I'll see you later, Devi. Thanks for watching me in grocery store. Let's see. So where was I? Button. Action button here. I wanted this to be invisible if it's 0, basically. So I want to say if current cooldown is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to say the label becomes invisible. In other words, the visibility of the label depends on the value here. Like so. If the current cooldown is greater than 0, then show it. Otherwise, don't. Salu game says, or Silu maybe, says, hi there, your videos are fantastic. Greeting from Brazil. Well, hi, Brazil. And Conic, welcome. I appreciate you appreciating my video. Thanks for saying that they are fantastic. I'm going to take that as a compliment. But part of me is like, oh, is it though? I mean, I try to provide things that are useful. Okay, that reminds me. I want to help people more, by the way. Okay? In that I want to help other developers find answers to the questions that they have the most questions for. Anything generic, anything big. Hey, Mari, welcome. Mari says, hiya, Developer Ezra. How's life? Life is great, Mari. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by here. We're doing great. We're doing our game development with the challenge of trying to finish and publish a game. And this is a community challenge, and that I started a little community thing where we're doing weekly updates in our Discord. I'm doing weekly video devlog updates, pretty simple like stuff, so that we can have and help each other be accountable for finishing our game. And it's been going pretty well. So we're in the middle of prototyping. So we're on week 3 right now. I've done some system design. I've done mock-up. And now that I have project planning all lined up, I am now making our prototype currently. All right. Oh, the buttons are still, even though I made the mouse ignore. This one is passed, this one is passed. I do feel like this one should also be a pass up, potentially. It'll pass up all the way to here. But it seems like the detection is being ignored. Let's see what's going on here. Button. The press gets signaled, which I think is under you. Oh, right, because this needs to be enabled. And this is only enabled. Let's see. It's not visible if the cooldown is less than 0. It's enabled because cooldown is less than 0. Interesting. Let me see. I want to keep this. Okay, it is coming through. It's potentially... Okay, it is coming through the emit as well. Let me see on my combat display helper here. On button pressed. Hey, thanks for the follow. Soldan's 85, welcome. And then Silo says, I enjoyed your video about GDD. It opened my mind quite a bit. Oh, that's great. Great to hear. You know, I'm a mixed batch when it comes to that. You know? Oh, that's the wrong button. Like, I do agree with, like, rapid prototyping where you don't have to plan, but there is a balance between that and then doing a certain amount of work to make sure your game is well imagined beforehand. Of course, everybody handles things differently. Get that. Okay, it does come all the way down here. Let's step into that. Action node, action node. Is this a player action? Yes, it is. Going to grab that. Stamina. Oh, cooldown is not ready. Okay. Oh, wrong way. Is cooldown ready? I suppose when I'm instantiating the action node, something is happening here. So I gotta make sure that the current cooldown is set to 0 to start. Making sure that happens. Let's see. Move. We have move action here, which I think I set it up. Cooldown 1, stamina cost 1, and then the current cooldown will automatically be whatever it needs to be, which I'm saying is going to be 0. Current stamina cost should be stamina cost as well. You know what? I think this should be done unready almost. I'm going to do one where I go func ready current cooldown will equal to cooldown, and then current stamina cost will equal to will equal to stamina cost. Here you go. So that'll instantiate that without me having to do that on the action helper. Hopefully. I'm going to come back down here. Hussam says, can you please tell me how to learn GDScript? I try so hard and I don't know how. Okay, well, it really depends on where you are in terms of your programming journey. What's your former experience? What do you think your coding understanding is? Also, what are you most struggling with? I do have a go-to thing that I tell people to do, but also there's two versions of the advice. There's a shill advice. I say shill because I am selling a course, so you're gonna hear about it. And then there's the other part where I'm like, if you really insist on being motivated and you're doing it for free, then there's this other way to do it. Solden says, oh, I can't do stuff fast, so I try to take my time and think stuff through. Yeah, dude, everybody needs to take their time. Take it on at your own pace. I think this whole weekly update doesn't necessarily mean like do it fast along with me. I think it's more of like I'm showing my process of discovery of finishing, the steps that I take. And you get to see steps that other people take. And hopefully that'll give you a hint on how you may approach one way to approach your own project to finish. And the speed is not an issue that we're focused on. Conic says, wait, they brought abstract classes? Yeah, abstract was here since 4.4, dude. They don't have interface, though. Okay. We're going to go down here. Cooldown is not ready. Interesting. I'm curious. Oh, because it's using cooldown instead of current cooldown. That's right. Okay. Anyways, for the learning GDScript, I don't know what approaches you took. GDQuest is a great point. In terms of learning how to code, that's a different topic. By the way, Hussam, I'm addressing you directly. So, Godot engine documentation. And then, I usually say, hey, go here. Go to do the thing, 2D first, 3D first. That's great for learning Godot. But that doesn't necessarily teach you coding, particularly GDScript coding. If you go to here, the doc engine, the whatever, learn to code with GDScript, under the instruction, getting started, instruction, and go to learn to code with GDScript, there's this like app for learning GDScript, and it's like pretty well done from what I can tell. And this apparently is made by GDQuest, who also has a tutorial channel. So that's a great place to be. And then also following along the new Brachy's channels lesson also helps a lot. Now, this is still not personalized lesson. That's the thing. The thing is that this is general lesson. It requires you to have patience for reading, and then you don't have any reading disability. And also, all these things. So that means it's not like having a tutor, like especially if you're completely lost. So in that case, I often recommend my 30-day course, because my 30-day course is basically in 30 days, make your first platformer game. And then I basically guide you through different steps to go through different aspect of Godot engine, along with any coding that comes along. So for example, I would explain what if and Boolean variables and how they can be, analyzed, how they could be understood and stuff like that. So that's one thing. But again, you can ask me here. Okay, Hussam says, well, I struggle with the variable system in Godot. Like when you make a variable is a tag, is false, and go to the process and say if input is action just press and not is a tech. Why do we put not is a tech and after it a tech is true? Okay. I don't think you're talking about my code in particular, but let's try to parse what you're actually saying, because without actually seeing the code, it's a little bit confusing. Also, let me just make sure I answer Soldan here. Soldan says, "Yeah, hi, kudos for pronouncing the Soldans correctly. Most people miss the end S. Oh, I almost did the second time." But yeah, okay. Husam says, if there is a variable called isAttack, and you go to the process and say input is action pressed and not isAttack, why do we put not isAttack and after isAttack is okay, you're saying a lot of things. The reasoning behind why people do combinations of Boolean value in order to check something at a certain point has a lot to do with timing, has a lot to do with understanding what things are doing, right? So for example, the process, right? The underscore process is a default function in GDScript. It's a default loop function, meaning no matter what happens, everything under process runs at an update per second. And like it keeps running. So, every time it runs, you're doing certain check. And sometimes that continuous check makes it so that when you're holding down a button, for example, it'll continuously trigger because it's still being pressed. So in order for you to handle it only once, some people like to do it on input, the default input or GUI input, where those things get triggered when the input happens, meaning when the attack button gets pressed, that triggers once, and then I set the Boolean value, meaning, hey, I just detected there was an interruption, a single instance of attack being pressed. And during the process, during the loop, if I see that is triggered, meaning that flag has been flipped, so like the single instance detector detected the flag, and now the continuous loop, who is responsible for doing the physics, right? Because you don't want to do physics here, 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 because you might have this like colliding effect where this one is trying to make the physics go this way, and then the loop is trying to make the physics go this way. So you want to handle those compounding effect into a single place, namely process or physics process, right? But then you also don't want the attack to be triggered all the time. You want it to get triggered only once when it gets pressed once. But you don't want to use just press. You want to use just action pressed. Anyways, it's all complicated way to say it's probably they did that. Whoever did that because they wanted to handle the physics and animation aspect of it in a single function called process during the loop, so that it's continuously being updated. But then they only wanted to do an update on a single input instead of handling it for when it's being pressed down. They want it to be once and done. So input will say once, flag, we have a positive on that. And during the loop, something will come through and say, oh, wait, I still see the keyboard being pressed and it just got flipped. So I'm going to do it and turn it off. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, let me know. I can draw it out more. Hopefully that does. It made sense in my head. But as I said, this is like having to understand through experience and also understanding what actually is happening. You can't just go, oh, you do it here, you do it there, and then it makes it work. It's like, what is happening at what timing? Do I understand the timing and race condition between single instance event interruption versus loop? Those things happen. Hey, Falsefi. I think you're Yosef, right? You're saying? No. What was your... Gosh, I can't remember your original name. It's okay. I'm just going to call you Falsefi Adami. All right. Hopefully that makes sense, Husam. If that doesn't make sense, let me know so I can further explain. All right. I was in the middle of doing something here. I don't remember. Oh, thanks for the follow, RandMC. Sorry, I didn't see that. RandMC follow. Thank you. Goldie Rocks on YouTube. Thanks for the follow on YouTube. Nemesis Lee is also on YouTube. Thanks for the follow. Welcome, everyone. Conic says it means philosophy, man, literally. Oh, is that what it's called? Falsafi Adami means philosophy, man? Interesting. Okay. I lost track. I gotta do this again. So we have it here. We choose a fight and then click on the move button. Nothing happens because of the cooldown issue. Gonna go to the action helper here and then verify this. The current cooldown, let's see, action node. The current cooldown is 1. I'm not really sure when that's being set here. I see. Well, this is when we are starting the cooldown, but we're not calling that, are we? I'm actually curious when this is being set. Oh, right. That's silly me. Okay. I think we're good here now. It's going to say true. It's going to start the cooldown and execute. Sick. And then I get to move. One thing that's not happening is the cooldown image showing up. So we're going to come over here. We are starting the cooldown. When we start the cooldown, because it's a change in the action node's state, we're going to emit this where we say, hey, the cooldown just changed for this particular action node. And then we have another one where cooldown changes for this particular action node as well. And that also means we want to, on the display panel specifically, because that's what we're listening to, we want this to connect to listening to the data, action node data, if we can help it. So action helper here, when this gets set, you know what? I'm going to do it outside. Maybe I do it here. So I'm going to say when this gets set, we're going to get the action data changed and connect that to on action data changed. And that one's going to happen over here with action node in particular. Husam says, thank you. I kind of understand now, and I'm surprised that you knew what I'm talking about that fast. Well, it took me a while. I was trying to figure out what that meant. I was like, why are people doing that? Because for that particular problem, which I have ran into, I mean, see, this is the thing. I ran into that issue before. That's why I know. There are other ways to resolve that. But, you know, if it works, it works. Okay. So when the action node comes in, the main thing that I'm paying attention to is its name and cooldown here. So I need to somehow, within the button grid, find that action display. And I think we are giving the action name here. So we can, I think, go through the children, get our action button grid, and we're going to get children here. And we're going to loop through action button. And we're going to set the action buttons as action button. Set its cooldown progress. Wait, why is there 2? Oh, that's a progress bar. I got to rename that. Hold on. I'm going to rename the cooldown progress to be cooldown. Where is it? Ah, there it is. And I'm going to do this as a private here. Update that because it's confusing. And then we have current cooldown to be equal to action buttons. Cooldown, but I think I also want to do it under here. Is action button and action button action name. equals the action node's action name, then we can assume that this is an action button, and we're going to say action node current cooldown to be set to that, and then we're going to set the max value as well, actually. Is there starting cooldown? Yeah, starting cooldown. Set the starting cooldown to be action node just cooldown here. And that'll set it up, I think. So now we should see it update as soon as I click. Yep. It's hard to tell. Is there a green circle? I mean, it feels like there is one. Hold on. It's a little bit hard to see. I think I might change the opacity here. I don't know what this is. I'm going to leave this alone, actually. I'm going to reset this first. Maybe do it like this. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, you can see a little better. All right, cool. And then you can change it. Now, I need to make it so that this is cancelable, but is that separate progress? Is that part of this task or not? Falsefi says, or Konik says, yeah. Oh, Falsefi is like, oh, you know Turkish, Konik? Yeah, we got a lot of Turkish people out here. Hey, Cooley. D. Mo says, I tried Godot before, but I missed having an active scene view in play mode, like in Unity. Makes it easier to debug. I don't mind missing that. However, what if I told you there is an active action scene? They added this in 4.5, 4.4. So you can have a game screen that's like, also hot load is our thing. So you can also program while hot loading your configurations. So it's a thing. It's a feature that's available if that's the only thing that stopped you. Games creator says, good evening from Europe. I'm glad I see you live. Curious what is new here. What's new is that we are trying to finish our prototype here. I'm just going through tasks here. I just got the part done where I was trying to make the action button clicking, makes it so that the cooldown goes up. I have to do another one where basically when I end turn and it comes back to the player turn, the cooldown goes down. I'm not sure if did the stamina count go down, actually? No, it didn't. So I need to make it so that the stamina counts also go down. So this one is stamina should be spent and... Oh. I've been working on a wrong task. Did I have anything about cooldown? Ah, here it is. Cooldown applies on action. Yes. So we just finished the cooldown being applied. It's a minimum viable ticket. The project manager version of Ezra will not enjoy the task that's being done. But the game dev Ezra says, hey, you didn't define the requirement clear enough. If you wanted something else, you should have written a better requirement, which is fair. So I'm fighting myself over here. Ironically, I'm having to experience the both side of the struggle here. Which one was it? Cooldown is 25. Is it number 25? Do I have to do it like this? Cooldown display activates when action is, pressed and pressed. Action is disabled and will not execute if the cooldown is not ready. Foha says, have you tried Bevy Engine, Ezra? No, I haven't heard of it, nor have I tried it before. Do tell me, though, what makes it interesting for you? Philosophy says, I can speak Turkish and French. Oh. Fasafi says, Ama France. I don't know how to say all those things. Sorry. Hussam says, I have something else. Why Ragdoll in Godot is so hard to use and program. I literally tried to use it, fix all the problems, but when I want to make it interact with Bullet or the player to be like Euphoria, is that a game? Let's say I can't do it at all and I don't know what to program or how. Okay, when in doubt, when you have problem with physics and first of all, when you have problem with 3D physics in Godot, in the previous version at least, 4.6 Jolt physics is by default. Make sure you have Jolt physics using the Jolt physics. Second is that if you try to do something based on collision, where like things are colliding and then that provides an impact, I found myself having a better time by disabling the collision and then treating it like area mesh, like that area, and then do the force application via program as opposed to physics simulation. That way, you're not dealing with additional physics side effects on top of the force you're applying to the ragdoll. But that's just my opinion. Discool says, hello, world. Hello, world. Games Career says, Ezra, what OS are you using? Windows or Linux? I'm on Windows. I'm sorry. I've used Unix-based system a lot when I was working with like remote desktops and stuff. But I think I just am too used to Windows right now, and I want to learn Linux. The whole process of like setting up right now at this point feels a little bit headachy. But with how the world is going, I might have to make a switch eventually. Cooley says, God, I hate 3D vector math, Lamau. Yeah, 3D vector math. I mean, technically, it's, well, it's not. I was about to say, technically, vector math is vector math 3D or 2D. But there are things like things you start needing to consider in 3D that you wouldn't have to in 2D. It's a little bit more high dimension. It's less intuitive when doing transformation, that's for sure. Plus, this Bevy engine is written entirely in Rust, so it's got all the guarantees that comes with using Rust, like thread safety, no illegal memory access bugs, and often as fast as C. I see. That sounds interesting. No, I haven't heard of it, but I guess that's something that I could look into. I'm not really sure when I would make this. Like at this point, because I'm so knee deep in Godot, that I have no reason to, unless there's like an actual reason to switch, I wouldn't really switch to any other engine. I guess what I could do is one of those viral videos be like, as Godot only developer, I learned Unreal Engine in 2 weeks or whatever, and then show everything I made. Like that would be a viral video, I'm sure, within this space, but I'll never do that. That's too much work. All right, stamina should be spent and checked for action availability. So that's what we're going to do here. Action helper. We already checked for if there's enough stamina, but we gotta also spend stamina, and that should be done through a controller, which is available to us. So combat controller, we're gonna say spend stamina, and then that's going to be the amount, and we're gonna grab the amount from the node itself and provide the cost. Stamina cost. That one I need to implement. So I'm going to have another one here. And this one is for player. So we're going to grab player info, stamina. And then we're going to reduce it by the amount. And then we're going to make sure we do this way, actually. Player info. Because we're doing immutable object pattern. Though it's actually manipulating it, but I'm treating it like it's immutable so that the update happens at a given point. I'm making it so that the update of the data, which means like the update of the visual, happens at a very specific time. I have a very jazzy, like sticky music playing in my ear, which feels weird. You guys don't get to hear it, I guess. I hope everybody's listening to sticky music like I am. All right. Cooley says, if anyone's curious, Linux Mint and Godot play very nice. Oh, I see. Well, there were a lot of platform-related updates as well in 4.6. Everybody should actually switch to 4.6. I feel like 4.6 is like one of those versions. Like it feels akin to when we went from 4.1 to 4.2, I think. Things are getting pretty serious out here. Like so. So that one should update. Let's see how that works. Foha says, it doesn't really have an editor like the other engine. Bevy is still a major version 0. It's code first. I see. I mean, there's nothing. Aha! Yes. Look at that. Sick. Stamina gets spent. The next thing I actually need to do, I'm not gonna create a task for this one, but I need to make sure at the end of the turn, cooldown ticks down. So this one is, what is it? Task number 26. So this one resolves number 26. Stamina is spent on action usage. And then the next one I'm going to do here is on tick down. And if I remember correctly, the ticking down, the turn management is being done on driver, on a state manager of the driver. So I'm going to go to my driver here. And under the driver, I have a bunch of state managers here. And then this one, the ticking down of the cooldown should happen at the beginning of the player's turn. So on enter, I'm going to probably demand control. So I'll say, hey, give me a control here. Export var combat control. Hey, thanks for the raid, Digital. Hello, hello, hello. It's time for everybody to grab their shiny. Those who are not familiar, when somebody raids me, you get a certain limited time for an attempt at getting a shiny version of the berries. So right now, if you plant the seeds and water the seeds, you have 10% chance of getting a shiny version for next 1300 seconds. All right. Shout out. Oh, thanks, Cooley. Welcome, Raiders. Digital says, have we shipped yet? No. 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 So I had the other one that was meant to be like, I'm going to finish it by next fest. No, that I just said, forget it. I'm going to start a community and do this instead. It's been doing well, actually. A lot of people are joining the Discord. People are pretty excited about the prospect. And this is the most low effort video I've been making. But then I was like, I need to make okay, so the part of it is that not only did I want to motivate myself and others, but also I was ideating on the whole, like, this is important, by the way. If you're planning on doing some sort of content making on YouTube, take heed. Series and returnability to your show, in quote, is important. So I was like, how do I make something that is like kind of low effort, but like people who are involved wants to come back to it over and over again so I can post often? This was the idea. So here I am. Hey, Jacob. Hey, Sif. Welcome, welcome. Mikori says, bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour. Welcome, Raiders. Digital says, yeah, I watched Lost VOD this morning. Very cool to see everything develop. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you for watching. Wow. You're the real one for watching that. It's been good. It's been good. I think it's like a semi-motivational in this dark times that is the political geosphere of modern universe. We're living. Digital says you really went ham on Obsidian. Did I? I mean, I was like, I gotta use the graphic feature. So I did, and this is the only way I could use it. I heard there are a lot of like plugins for Obsidians that makes it even better. So I'm looking forward to making that change. Games Creator says, Ezra, what speaking language do you know? Not programming. Have you ever tried it? No, I speak in C, everyone. No, just kidding. Have you ever tried to combine them, foreign language and your domestic language? I mean, I do that all the time. If I'm hanging out with my friends in that area, like I'm Korean, ethnically. mean, technically, I'm dual citizen still, but oh, I guess I shouldn't say that in modern world. Maybe I do. It doesn't matter. But basically, I do speak Korean pretty fluently. Um, and English is okay. So if I'm speaking to friends who are in that like same Asian Americans, then we mix it all the time. But we don't mix it in that like we're mixing half and half. It's more like certain words, um, you know, because we're like, I can't remember the English word for it, or like there's no word for it in English, but we understand it. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, to put it briefly, Digital 6 makes my diagrams look basic. Oh, come on. That's not true. This is just entity relationship. I'm not even doing the whole like, this is an abstract class with this property and this implementation, and combat implementation will be these boxes with little, those like arrows, like when you do system design, you have these like diamond arrows, filled in diamond arrows for indicating implementation and all those things. Yeah, that I did that for one of the classes back in college. I don't remember any of it. Don't remember any of it. Also, I took that class before I understood what everything was, which was backwards. Games creator says, that was really making me laugh loud. I'm not speaking in C. Yeah. Cooley says, looks like your blueprint coding. What do you mean? Cooley says, yeah, there is the whole like plugin. Yeah, I'll be excited to hear about any kind of plugin information. Hey, put it on the resource and guides, perhaps. Dude, we've been getting so many people on Discord these days, and it's so good to see people actually like post almost every day. It's kind of sick. So we'd be here. We'd be here. We're doing it. Cooley says, with Obsidian, I see. Digital says, yeah, you definitely got to take advantage of GScript adding support for abstract classes. Dude, abstract was one of the biggest change for me. I'm kind of looking into 4.6 right now. So I'm already on 4.6, but I saw one of the updates regarding the GD extension with the developing it with C#, which makes it like you can configure things with JSON. So I was like, I don't know what that is. I wonder if it's helpful for me. So that's something that I'm looking into. All right, combat control. I wanted to. This is okay. This is a little bit tricky right now. So I have access to combat control through the states, but I wanted to have control to the action helper as well. So we got to make sure, and this particular one is actually an action helper thing. So we're going to grab an action helper here. And I'm not breaking any rules because I've already made that connection over here. And we're going to say countdown cooldown. And action name. Okay, so this is the hard part. I did this because I wanted to see if I can just grab the action name for the players. I think I can do that. So I'm going to do a combat controller for data access. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab player information. Hey, Conic on Twitch now. Would you consider to make 3D game one day? I do want to do it. It's just... Okay, here's my plan. I'll tell you a plan. I'm going to make few of these smaller... It's not really small. It's like smaller in the sense that it's like smaller scale. It's not like 10-year project. So I'm talking like 1 or less than a 1-year projects that I'm going to release. Indie games, lightweight indie games, and maybe become stable, have enough, build enough reputation within the community with it. And once that's done, I can switch over to making 3D games using that as my backbone to support me to start exploring actually doing like, because I'm actually interested in the graphics aspect of it as well. So I want to learn modeling and all that stuff, which gives me another like use the initial success as a backbone to help me study and report on my learnings on that, to make videos on that. And then now I have 3D content, and then I can do everything by then. And then I can expand it to being more, I don't know. People are still asking me to do some sort of mentorship in terms of like helping with their games, and I'm happy to do that. It's just it feels bad to charge what I should be charging. So maybe by then I'll feel a little bit better. Dot says, hello, hope all is well. Can I ask what camera you're using? It's super crisp. Thank you. Let me show it off real quick. Camera itself is actually pretty budget. It's a Sony ZV-E10. I used to use stock lens. The stock lens meaning the lens that it comes with it. But what I did was I recently purchased a low f, so like a low aperture lens to replace it because I wanted to have more bokeh effect for the background. And that made it look even crisper because the focus is so like nice. So that's a two-step process right there. The Sony ZV-10 is, I think every product has that like one step up where you're like everything's cheap, 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 cheap. And then you spend like pretty good amount of money, like a little bit more to get this like mediocre version, but then like the jump is huge. And then after that, you have the professional versions, but then the professional versions are like this much expensive, but then like this much better. So it's like right before that, right before the whole like huge jump. Ruin Star says, hi Ezra, I loved your last video. Do you think you can make a video in the future as you build your relationship diagram so we can see your thought process? I can't typically catch your live streams. I see. Okay. You know what? I'll do that. Hey, that's pretty clear demand. It seems like there are a few people who's interested in that as well. So I'll try to do that. I mean, I want to still set it up in ways that not only do you guys get to see the insight into what I do, but like kind of digest it in ways that it can be applicable to something that you're working on personally. So we'll see. Oh, ads starting here in a bit. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to wait for a little bit because some people are in ads. I'll respond after ads have finished. Dot says, nice, turbo and sub rejoice. Exactly. Whoever follows subs and all those people who is skipping ads, congratulations. You're better than everyone. No, not really. I don't know. Maybe. Hey, dude, whatever makes you feel better, I guess. Access says, dang. Let me know when ad is done on YouTube. I can't see the YouTube doesn't have ad timer, so it's hard to tell. But here we are. I'll try to answer everybody's question. Jacob says, I'm a turbo nerd. Oh, I can't believe you're spending money on... No, just kidding. I can't say all that because I'm living off of the backbone of all these services that are provided by the platforms. All right, what was I doing? I said combat controller, I'm getting the player information, which is under board state. I'm going to grab the player information here. And most specifically, I want to grab all the actions that are available to the player. So those are just string. So we have all the action names that are available for the player, and then we're going to go over those and reduce the cooldown by 1. So that way, when the turn starts, it kicks up. This one already exists. Yes. Okay, cool. So we're going to do action helper, combat stay here on player turn. We're just going to assign the action helper here. That should be good. Access says, oh yeah, no, I'm using an ad blocker. I see. Great. I'll answer you here in a bit. Cooley says Blender streams. Yeah, Blender streams. Maybe I'll learn it. But only thing about the whole like learning process is that I like to do like mixed media learning. I do sometimes video. I like reading documentation. Sometimes I like just goofing around. And part of that learning process is not very helpful for people to watch. But I guess sometimes people like to watch me struggle or like tell me how to do things. So maybe that'll work. I already told Dot what camera I'm using. True Nemesis says hi, welcome. Jacob says yes, I pay billionaire Bezos. Yes, exactly. Pay billionaires so I may be thousandaires. Just give me money directly, please. Forget all this. I'll make my own streaming service just for you guys. All I will do is just I feel like that's definitely some sort of breach in contract. Dot says, is it a 20 millimeter lens you have on? I do. I think it's actually 30. Um, it's the throw distance is pretty far. Hold on, let me grab. Let me grab the lens info. Yeah, it's 30 mil. Oh my gosh, my hair is a mess today. Can you see it? It's inversed. Oh my god, I shouldn't have shown the barcode, should I? All right, don't look at the barcode. It's 1.4 focal. Oh my god. I wonder if people can like do stuff with my product, like warranty and stuff. All right, it's time to finally answer XS's question. I've been stalling here. Okay, so I'm gonna catch up here. Runestar already said, "I love your last video. Can you do that?" I will do that. I'll make a video in the future about the process of. Hey, look. Also, here's a great idea. Runestar, specifically, I'm talking to you. If you're still here, I have had one-on-ones with like 5 different people so far. 2 people, I was trying to see if I can start a content, but I think it's not visual enough for me to do it. And then I did 2 people that basically pay for my course and is like asking for help. So I'm working on going through the process of helping out with these like planning and all these things. And then now that you've asked like, hey, how would you do these like system design process and the thought process you would go through, honestly, I feel like it would be most helpful if I can personally listen to your project and then like help you in that way and like try to focus in that way. So in addition to maybe making a video of my process, if anyone out there is interested in or is okay with being heard, your voice needs to be heard, and showing your face, maybe, I mean, we can talk about that. Then I would be, maybe you don't have to show your face. I'll be happy to do a session, record a session for free, and then make content around it. I get a content, you get a free advice. Okay. Husam says, did you use Unity before and should I use it? See that the community is something important to learn the engine, and Godot community is about mostly Godot 3 or solution of Godot 4, but it's too advanced. Is it too advanced? I find Godot community very friendly, actually, from beginner to intermediate to advanced. Especially nowadays, because Unity used to be good. But in terms of documentation alone, I feel like Godot is much better, meaning if you're starting out, you can find information officially from the documentation. And people are not shy of answering questions, especially us. Like, here's something you can leverage. If you come to our Discord, because we are starting to get a lot of people from all kinds of platform, you'll be able to find information. And there's so many people that's always like, asking, oh, where should I start? And people are like, do here, do that. So I would say that. Okay. Access says, what was the Access question? Explain what you're doing like I am doing it to 9-year-old. All right. Hello, Tommy. I am making a game on a tool program called Godot. We're making a fun little tactics game, which is like strategic little combat game. And right now we're in the beginning process. So that means we have to do a lot of ugly stuff to make it, to see that it works instead of making it all nice. Cause I don't want to spend time in making it nice yet. Cause things might change. So far, we have made this tester environment, meaning we have these configuration we can choose from, which may be a potential combat from the game. and you can see the setup changes depending on what I choose. And then right now we're in the process of making things work, essentially. The one thing that I'm doing really well that you wouldn't know, Tommy, is something called project management. It's like to-do list. It's a list of things, grocery list of things that I created for myself so I can see how big the list is. And I'm just turning my brain off and going through the things and figuring it out. Yeah. All right, that's my attempt. There are some details I skipped over, but all right, that worked. That worked. Did you see that? So I ended the turn and went to the enemy resolution. I made it manually wait 4 seconds there to simulate some sort of animation playing. And then in the beginning of the player turn, I ticked down, and then this is now available again. Now, what didn't work is that when I click, it's not working anymore. So something is making it so that it's disabled right now. So we're going to have to kind of track that a little bit. So we got player turn, we're counting down. And when we're counting down, we're emitting the node so that change gets reflected by the action button. That's pretty sick. Hey, thanks for the follow, Video Geek JT. So I'm going to track that. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. True Nemesis says, I'm currently doing Harvard CS50X, but interested in getting into game dev eventually. Oh, you know what? That's a great start, by the way. As much as YouTube tutorials and the world likes to say, you don't really need to do official computer programming studies in order to become a game dev. Because you can just learn the language or you can just learn the engine and do coding like you would building a Lego pieces, which you can get away with. However, there are a lot of concepts that you can learn in computer science, the official study, that actually gives you a lot of insight. And sacrificing like 4 years at most studying those things, I'm pretty sure because it's like self-paced, it can be a lot shorter, like even 2 years, is not a waste of time. It is not a waste of time. And also, that doesn't mean you can't start making it while studying. Like by like 6 months in of first basic programming course, you already know a lot more than self-taught people in general. Now, some self-taught people are more motivated than the other, so that's a little bit different. If you find yourself getting lost a lot, if you don't want to do the heavy lifting of like trying to come up with your own curriculum, those free resources are amazing. Cooley says Godot is most friendly. I found beginner friendly at both. Yeah. Conic says, or Dot says, thanks for clarifying though. Found 20 mil, but I will keep exploring. Yeah, the thing about 20 mil is, so I don't like short throws. What I've noticed with the shorter throws is that you get more warp, right? Because it's closer. If you have the space, I recommend longer throws. But you know, the downside is that you have to be fairly far away from the camera to be in the right focus. Cooley says Godot is most friendly. We read that. Conic says I haven't seen community that is friendlier and nicer than Godot community. Yeah, especially because we've Godot community split once, by the way. So all the controversial people have moved over to the fork of the Godot. And that's what the beauty of the Godot is, that it is open source. So people who don't fundamentally believe in Godot can just take Godot and make their own version of it. So, Arina Mesuri says, I gotta at least pretend I'm going to sleep, so I'm gonna hop off. Might turn up in your Discord at some point, though. I have a lot of video to share about my first Godot project. Oh, that's awesome. And as long as you don't mind me sharing with the community on my own video, too, I'll point people your way as well through my videos. Cooley says, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, thank you. Dot says, 20 mil is a fisheye? No, I have no idea. But that sounds like a fisheye. Unless that is the point. Unless that's what you want. I'm not a photographer, so I'm not really sure. I only know this like technically. The information I know is only by the numbers. I don't know it artistically. Conic says fork of Godot. Yeah, there is a fork of Godot. I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, there was a thing. It was like Redo or something like that. There was some drama I try not to pay attention to. Games creator says, Ezra, please could you tell us why Godot, why not Unity, Unreal Game Maker, own engine, anything else, because it is free and enables 3D. Great combo. I think it's a great question. I've said this before, but I like the whole open sourceness. I don't like to be tied down by a business decision. I have no reason to. And typically, reason that I would be forced to use Unreal or Unity is the limitation in the capacity. So far, I haven't seen limitation in capacity. In terms of making my own engine, I've tried that in my younger days. So I've already done that exploration. And I'm at a point in life where I'm like, I don't need to experience that to prove to myself that I know how to do that. It's more like Godot, because it's open source, it has that both benefit. Like it is like making your own game engine in that you have access to the source code. So if you want to change things, you can change things that on top of things that are already existing. So it's like a more powerful version of making your own engine if you really desire. So that's where I'm at. Access says, are you like really just fluent in coding language or you just practice a lot? I mean, it would be concerning if I am not. So I've been working a lot. I studied in college for 4 years for computer science. And then I worked professionally as software engineer for 11 years. I mean, I usually say more than decades, but it's basically 11 to 12 years. And then I've been doing this for 2 years now. So I've been coding for a long time. So I don't really have to think too much unless it's like complicated stuff. Access says, oh, and why won't you use AI? I'm at a point in life where AI doesn't help me that much. It can if there's a lot of tedious work, but the amount of control I need in what I do, my experience has been that it's more harm than good for me. That says, haha, no, I don't think I need my face looking any wider. That could be your gimmick. Konik says, isn't making a custom game engine dedicated for a game usually better if you were to publish a game? Is it? I don't know. I don't know if I agree. There's some headache. For example, the problem with Godot is that Godot is open source, meaning a lot of proprietary information like Nintendo's build or like Sony's PlayStation build files, they won't give it to Godot community for free because they usually charge people to give that. And they usually charge people with tight scrutiny. So the downside is that as a Godot people, we have to make the game, publish it on PC first. Granted that the PC won't have the same type of restriction on the SD or SDK, which I don't think they can. Then we have to prove ourselves and get the build or use services, pay the services to make it into those platforms. I mean, it's not impossible. You can do it. That's the one downside I know. In terms of benefit for publishing your own game, I'm not really sure. I feel like if there is a benefit, that's weighed down by the harm of efficiency. Unless you have like unlimited money. Dot says, no, we already read that. Cooley says, there's some nice charts online to show you the difference in the lens size. 20 mil isn't terrible, but I prefer 35 to 50. Yeah. I mean, I was cutting it close with 30. I don't have much space in my room. I would have preferred 50, but I need like double the size of the room. This is the best I can get. Hey, thanks for the follow. Green Vector Games. Okay, access says fascinating. Usam says the script that you are writing now is too advanced for me. Is too advanced for me, or maybe I'm using Godot wrong, and I agree with the second opinion. Yeah. Well, look, you do get here eventually. It's complicated because I like breaking things apart, but these things will eventually make sense. I mean, at the end of the day, all coding is just running things one at a time. Running things one at a time. And if you read it long enough, you know what it does. You know what function call is. You know what parameter is. You know what assigning variable is. What you're missing is reason behind those things. And of course, you can't understand what's going on right now because I wrote this and I didn't explain it to you. And that's normal. I think what difference we have between like advanced or like experienced coder versus non-experienced coder is that experienced coder expects confusion, meaning I expect to be confused by the code. That doesn't surprise me, meaning I don't get scared into diving into it. Like I know this is normal, it's confusing. So I go into it and then I read one at a time. So I develop the patience being able to read one at a time. It's like saying opening a book, a novel in the middle of the page and saying, I don't get what's going on. This is too complicated for me. Maybe it is advanced, but I mean, if you try reading it from the beginning, it might be easier. Same thing. Cooley says, typical Ezra spaghetti code. Exactly. It's so messy. Cooley said, it looks great, at least. Yeah, thanks. No, I like this one. I was surprised. I was a little bit scared that it was going to be a little bit too, throw was going to be a little bit too far, but it was nice. Dot says, confusion can be tricky. Either someone smarter than you wrote something great or someone with less experience wrote something bad. Yeah. I just take it with a neutral ground of like, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I mean, everything is understandable eventually. So, following a certain pattern doesn't make it easier. Okay, hold on. Something wasn't happening. Execution was not working on the second time around once the cooldown goes down. So I'm going to do that real quick. So got here, start the fight. I do the move. Action gets executed, goes to cooldown. I do this. End turn. Resolve AI action happens. Beginning of player turn happens and cooldown went down. Update happened, that means. I click on it. We come over here. Stamina is sufficient. Is this a player action? Yes, it is. Player info. We grab stamina. Oh. Okay, so it was working. Okay, so this is working now. That was... I don't think I made a ticket for this one. This one was for updating stamina. Update stamina on player turn, or not update stamina. Tick down player action cooldown during player at the start of player turn. Great. All right, next up, we need a stamina recharge, I think. Okay, let's see. Oh man, we got a lot of chat going on. Sorry, guys. I will read everything, so if you keep typing, I'm going to be talking here forever. People who watches me knows. Alex Mercer says, hello, how are you, man? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Welcome. I do feel like I recognize your name from one of the comments that I didn't answer yet. Sorry. So I try to answer as much comment as possible, but there has been a lot more these days. Games Creator says, oh my gosh, you had struggle between Godot 3 and Godot 4? I struggle all the time. What do you mean? Now, I'm struggling now. Nightbest says, wait, what was the drama that caused a split? I never heard of that. I need the tea. I don't know the details, so I can't really talk about it. There was something that happened where I believe the edgier part of the community decided to split off. That's as far as I go with that one. We don't want to get into politics at this point. Access says there's this SKL. I don't know what SKL is. And my country called
elite, like it's amazing, all in all, but I'm afraid that I'll learn something useless. Well, I mean, that's probably why you want to start with like popular language first. Here's the thing. Coding is coding no matter the language. You do the same thing. You do loop, you do function call, you do variable assignment, you do math. That's it. Conditional math loop. Conditional math loop and variable assignment. That's all of coding. Um, Everything else is quality of life improvement on top of that, right? It's like, oh, we do this a lot, and this is like kind of roundabout. So we made a direct way to do this type of thing. So if you get used to solving problems that way, doesn't matter what the language is, you'll figure it out. Like I can write any language. I'm not afraid of doing any language because only difference is syntax. Hey LJ, long time no see. Welcome. Let's give a little shout out to LJ. And that also means our shiny berry is active again. Everybody get your shiny berry. Oh, that's right. I guess it's not available. You know what? I'm gonna do a manual shiny party. Here we go. I activated it. Everybody gets shiny for 300 seconds. Welcome, LJ. I hope you had a great stream. I can't find my Godot. There it is. We're working on our little Baldur's Gate 3 inspired combat focused roguelike. I'm on the prototyping phase, making the ugly version. I'll show you the mock-up. The mock-up sorry, I was reading a message. Not me just zoning out in the middle of doing something. Here's a mock-up. So this was my mock-up of like, okay, it's gonna look something like this. There's some tile-based like movement spacing thing, but it's like simple spacing, action, and like RPG like pixel portrait with items that has like passive effects. So it's all about building. And then when you're exploring, you're going through these like map of certain things, gaining stories and such. So that's, I mean, that's in the what's in the process of being made right now, and we're in the prototype phase. Okay. Access says it's like an Alt 442 in France. I have no idea what that is. I'm so sorry. I'm like so far removed from European thing. LJ says, looks fun. Did you finish the ship game? No, it's still on the works. It's going to be finished by August, I think. Don't get me started on that. Go check out my channel. We're doing this like a community accountability game finish challenge on our channel right now. So we've been getting a lot of traction here. We're all posting weekly updates on our My Game progress, where I lead the flock by doing video update weekly. And then everybody else provide their little update on what they have been working on, what they will do, what their goal is. Been seeing a lot of cool games so far. And it's been fun. So here we are. You could join too, LJ. I mean, I'm sure you have access to our Discord. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to lock in with the chat real quick because I'm really behind. Sorry, everyone. All right, so we got Jose says, I am also working on my first game with zero experience. You'll get it. Congrats. If you have any questions, of course, ask the community. I'm sure you'll get an answer. Access, I just want to know, should I focus on cybersecurity, AI, game dev? I mean, typically when you're just starting out, you get more than one focus. AI does seem like something that might be interesting for you. It might be good for your resume. I don't have faith in that. Like if you do AI focus, for example, for study, that's going to be different from coding with AI. That's not what they are. If you focus on AI, you're going to learn behavior tree. You're going to learn goal-oriented action planning. You're going to learn Monty Python simulation. You're going to learn, namely, the learning, the machine learnings. That's the AI, right? That's the backbone of it and how those things work. So that is still a very important information. Now, outside of Gen AI, if you're not worried about like money and stuff like that, that's not the only thing that you're thinking about. It has usage outside of our trend. Our trend of Gen AI and these like agentic whatever. It'll give you edge on that maybe because people are like, oh, you learn AI. But the truth is that is used for robotics or used for chatbot computing. So if that interests you, you can go to that route. Game dev, yeah, cybersecurity probably is a big topic, but you know, do what you want. Don't worry about the success. You'll get success if you're good. Buckin says, is this GDScript? It looks like Python. It is GDScript, and I heard it's Pythonic, but I've never used Python myself when I was in the industry or field, which is surprising. I know a lot of people start with Python. I actually started with MATLAB and Visual C, but that was because I was self-taught in the beginning, and then I went to school, and then I was on Java. Buckin says, I've never used Godot, so I was a bit surprised. Yeah, it's GDScript, very Pythonic. Games Creator says, oh, what glass do you have? What is that glass you're drinking from? This? Mason jar. Such detailed questions from everyone. Everybody wants to know. Imagine if I... Oh, my God. Oh, wrong pipe. Nightbat says, being Python-like is a huge part of why I was able to pick it up very fast. I see. I mean, that makes sense. I think Python was pretty big introductory coding language for a while. So when I started, it was Java. But then it was converting to Python for a lot of the classes. I was also an engineer, as in like not like computer science engineer, but I was a double major in physics. So for any science majors, we were required to learn MATLAB because a lot of the lab stuff is ran from that. Soldan says, what strength are your classes? Mine are -2. I think mine is like -2, 2.5, maybe 3. It's around there. Not bad. Dragon says, everyone says GDScript is easy, and I barely could understand any of it. Now I'm a game dev student learning C# and Unity. Wait, you're learning C# and Unity and you think GDScript is not easy? That's not true, right? You understand now how easy it is now that you've learned C# and Unity, right? I think so. Giddy, hey Giddy, long time no see. Buckin says, I've never used C#. What sets it aside from C++? It's like who owns it, who made it popular, and what platform uses it most. C++ I think is owned and made by Microsoft. No, am I crazy in that? It's both a attempt at object-oriented programming setup for a functional programming code, which is C. Of course, there's a thing called Objective-C, which is not to be confused with C#. C# says this. Dragon says C# is pure OOP. Yeah, Java is pure OOP. There are a lot of concepts. So OOP was a concept that was rising during that time. You can also you can have a OOP practice, object-oriented programming, in a functional code if you wanted to, really. Because OOP is state of mind. Cooley says, no way. No way what? Dragon said, Undertale proved that. What? Buckin says, isn't it more JavaScript like? I have no idea, dude. Another function. Buckin says, how do you guys maintain motivation throughout the development process? I usually get real deep into development and then give up halfway through. I think because the most fun part is the ideation and imagining the ending. One way to stay motivated, this is a little trick on finishing a project, is to not talk too much about the finished product. Does that make sense? because I get the same you get the same satisfaction as finishing the product when you talk about what the finished product would look like too much. So sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I'm satisfied, I'm done. It's like premature, you know. Wissam says how to make AI in Godot, like how to make an enemy move to left, for example. Behavioral tree is one thing. Same thing as moving so the way I approach it, so you know how when you're moving a player character, you do left input, convert that into movement, and then you let the character move, right? You change the input, the player input, to come from somewhere else. And that somewhere else can be the AI logic. It can be on a timer. It can be on a reaction. It doesn't matter. That's why it's good to decouple that logic. Bucket says, I'll look into state machine. State machine is great. Once again, state machine is only a driver for those things. So the whole thing about like have your movement logic input come from outside, and that input can be controlled by things like state machine, where you have different phases. And then the conversion of state machine and states can be based on variable states and a lot of other things. But state machine is the answer, but more specifically, finite state machine would be a good starting point. Zol Knight says, is a function of 2D same to 3D in Godot? A lot of the functions are shared between 2D and 3D. Yes. Dragon says, well, I didn't say it's hard. I just personally couldn't grasp it for some reason. Skill issue probably. It's probably what you're used to. Anyways, I caught up on the chat. This is great. Husam said, thanks for answering all my long questions. Yeah, no problem. Cooley says, I was talking about C# versus GD scripting. Yeah. that was kind of interesting to see. Well, the coding itself is not so difficult. I think what makes it difficult might be like way things are staged. Anyways, did I put in everything? I think so. Okay, I think we're good here. We made it so that we need the stamina to charge up. So far, the combat configuration, I do want to make all the configuration into a single spot. Maybe. So let's, I don't know where that configuration should be. Like if it should be a separate object. So like if I'm a game designer, I can change that easily. Maybe. You know what? I'm going to do it here. I'm going to say on player turn, I think my design said, my mockup was here. Let me pull up my mockup that's on actually before I start using Obsidian. I think I was saying charge 2 stamina per turn, unless described otherwise. So we have by default, yeah, plus 2 stamina every turn. So we're gonna provide 2 stamina at the beginning of the turn. I don't think there's a task for that. Okay, combat display. We definitely need limitation. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to add that real quick. So at the beginning of player turn, we're going to also give gain stamina. Player gains default stamina, which will be basically grab the controller. And I think I'm going to do it through a function here, gain stamina, because I'm imagining there might be a sound animation that might be associated with gaining stamina. So we're going to just give the amount here. And combat controller, I will provide a function as an action helper. We need a controller here. Combat controller. We'll say funk. Gain stamina amount. And that one is going to go straight up into the player information, where stamina will equal to minimum between the max value, right? Max stamina, and then plus the amount. And then we're going to update the player info. So now stamina that I don't use remains. In addition, I gain stamina back. Like so. Yeah. Nice. Okay. What else is happening here? Soldans says it's a cliche old as time, but I would say the journey is more important than the goal. Find motivation to continue working in, enjoying the trade. It's true. Oh yeah, right. The motivation. How do we stay motivated? Um, you just gotta enjoy the journey. It takes a while to learn to enjoy the walk. Stop enjoying this anticipation of the goal. Enjoy the road to the goal. Hold on. I'll be back, guys. I gotta refill my water. I'm back. All right. Giddy says 2D game in Godot using GD script. Yes, yes, yes. Lackluster Film says, what are you working on here? I'm working on my little uh, strategic tactics game that's focused on the combat, kind of like Baldur's Gate 3, 2D. That is roguelike, and it's focused around making a build for your character. Talent tree plus items. Items give passive effects. Talent tree, you get to unlock things, so you're creating combos. Slay to Spire Baldur's Gate, essentially, is what I'm imagining. Probably like minor amount of story, if there is any. Sorry for answering too late. Zol Knight says, oh no, I already read that. What else did I miss? Lackluster says, and how do I get a little Godot fella hopping around at the bottom? It's a Twitch feature. So if you go to Twitch, my Twitch channel, there's a redemption, point redemption, the channel point redemption, which you get for free by watching me. You can plant a seed. You got to redeem plant seed, and then you got to redeem water the seed. You water it 9 times in total. You get a little creature, and it's pulled from one of these. One of the available ones. Wow, there's only 3 hollow berries left? Guys, and 3 squat berries? Somebody needs to nab that. And that's how I get people to be more excited about it. Let's see. Giddy says, think you need to be on Twitch for that. Yeah, it's true. Games Career says, Ezra, what is jar? And why don't you drink from classical glass? Mason jar. I mean, I could. It just saves me a trip. It's bigger. It's easier. I get more per trip. Yeah, no problem. Mason jar. It's called mason jar. Here, let me spell it out. Mason. All right, so recharge happens. What are the next tasks here? We're just kind of grinding through. I want to make stab. Let's do that. So we just did move action. It doesn't have all the restrictions yet, so I think I'm going to add that. I'm going to create a new issue here. Excuse me. Range limited tile selection. Like for limited amount of move and range for attacks, we want to limit players selectable tiles during tile selection. Also visually show what are the valid tiles. This one I probably will eventually work on it. I don't feel like doing that right now. I want to do the fun part. So I created that one. That one's gonna come here eventually. Base player action here. We got the move action, more or less. I think I'm going to now create the guard action. Okay, guard action is easy, and it's something that I need to add anyways. So right now I think I'm going to say guard action gives a armor. And so we need an armor indicator. So guard or defend, I guess. Defend action here has an icon already. It has 1 cooldown and costs 1 stamina. On execute, I think I'm going to have it update the player information. But right now, player information doesn't have a thing called armor. So I'm going to give that. The part of me is like, should the armor be going towards the damage calculation or hit calculation? That's something that I need to figure out. Not really sure yet. Yeah, sprite health, max health. All right, next thing is, I don't want to call it armor. I'll call it armor. We'll see. I might regret this because of the whole like AC thing. If we're doing like hit chance, you'd roll a dice to hit. Davey says, I'm back. Lol, finally home from grocery shopping. Wow, that's a long way to grocery shopping, but welcome back. Clay says, hope you got us some snacks. Davey says, always, Lamau. I stay with the snacks. Good, good. I'm getting hungry now. Games Career says, I understand, I guess. Hey, mason jar, nothing wrong with it. Don't judge me for my mason jars. All right, defend action. It's pretty simple here. I take the controller, I grab the player information, and then I simply update its armor count to 1 by 1. Oh, gee. Oh, that scared me. Thanks for the gifted sub, Devi. Another one. This stream is sponsored by Devi. Insert your product here, Devi. I appreciate it. Thanks for the gifted. Let's see, where are we at? Armor +1. I think that's enough, actually. Oh wait, this is dodge action. Whoops. I gotta make a defend action. Wait, what the heck? I guess I just didn't rename it. dodge combat action, and then we have defend combat action here, which will be just armor +1. And then controller update player info. Board state. Update player info. You know what? Instead of directly doing this, I think I'm going to do this as a controller command as well. Say gain armor and provide 1. Because there's a possibility that I might have animation that are associated with that. So I'm going to do that here. There's a weird ballad rap going on in my ear. That's not lo-fi hip-hop. Sometimes I can be in the mood for it, but it's very 2000s. Gain armor, amount here. And for now, just simply an updating of player information. Nothing crazy happening. Boom. But eventually, this allows us to do some sort of animation control here. Davey says, I gifted the sub and then my Twitch app crashed. Lol. Twitch is tired of me. Oh no. No. This is where I share my what do you call? What is it? What do people use these days? PayPal? This is where I share my PayPal. Do it directly to me. Devi says, oh, another gifted. Thanks. Oh, wait. Gifted a 1-month tier 1 sub to Cooley. Wow. Look at that. Thanks for giving a gift to the community, Devi. My Zelle ID here. Cooley's like, oh my god, thank you, Devi. Yes, yes. Let's go, Cooley. Heck yes. Okay. So armor gets gained over here and it gets updated. And the combat display, I want to make sure that the board state has a player body. We have player body somewhere in here. And then that one probably should have armor. So we'll probably give armor value. Armor. And if it has armor, hold on, enemy character. I think I'm going to put a little shield in front of the health bar like we're usually used to seeing. So let's create a quick little shield. Probably 32 by 32, honestly. Nothing too big. Devi says, drop it. I gotcha. No, seriously. Don't tempt me with a good time. I will. All right. Let's see. What should the armor look like? To YouTube to give. BRB. Oh, that'd be so nice. This is the community support queen here. I'm wondering if the armor should be slanted or not. What do you think? Something like that. Like, I'm not sure if it should look serious or a little like comical, as in like a little more like caricature-y. Might look something like that, right? And then some gray here. I think we're going to give it kind of blue tint here on the reverse side. It's more like a buckler here if I give a little impression. Like so. And then let's see. We can make this a little bit looser. Davey says, Ezra, do you have a tablet to draw or are you using your mouse? I'm using my mouse. I like using my mouse and keyboard for pixel art. I do have a tablet, by the way. I do have a Wacom tablet. But for pixel art in particular, I like it because unlike regular illustration, pixel art is like more precise, right? Like a single pixel. Look at this right here, right? Look at this right here. A single pixel changes the feeling, the corner, right? So like every pixel matters in this scale. And in that sense, mouse is more precise. And what I do is I have a DPI toggle. DPI toggle, which allows me to be lower or higher dots per inch, meaning the sensitivity changes. So I lower it so that I can draw things more stably. I like it. You know, might not be everybody's process, but it works for me. Okay. Let me imagine the dimensions here. Yeah, BrainZap says a single pixel changes everything. It does. It does. Game Creator says, do you like programming or is it a drill? Do you like it? What hobbies you have? I do enjoy programming. I like solving programming problems. One of my biggest passion back when I started was algorithm. Reason I started physics also major was because I wanted to solve problems, and solving problem is fun for me. But you know, when you're in game development, sometimes like you can't afford to get obsessed with like problem solving. Sometimes you just kind of have to accept that things will not work out, and then you just have to find ways to make it work. So what is my answer then? Not really sure. I like it, but it's not the biggest part of the fun when it comes to game development. So I'm giving a environmental reflection. So this is technically shadow. And the problem right now is that the bright is darker than the shadow. It looks like light, which is okay. What I do need to do to make this work, I mean, that's what makes it look shiny. But I can keep this like this and then bring something brighter, specifically something yellow. Like that. I mean, I could even darken this a little bit. Hold on, it'll all come together. Trust the process is what I say. And this one can go darker here. Yeah, this is good. I guess that means this needs to go even darker. So I'll bring this down. It's very red, I know. I kind of liked it before, you know what? I'm going to keep this like that. Keep this here. I kind of like the subtlety of this. It's always hard to decide on. All right, fine. I'll do that. I'll have this come from this side then. So I'll put lights here. And put a little bit of division here. We're going to put darker shades in here. And have this be separating that out a little bit. I think that's good enough, honestly. Then have this. Because I'm not trying to make, just need to translate the feeling. I could even go lighter. Kind of like the red, but That might be because I'm red-green colorblind. If I want like a little bit more like personality, I could even like split the shadow into something like, or the light into something more mysterious and real. But kind of like this lumping. So for now, I'm going to keep it like this. Might be a little too big, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Eden says, hi. Hi, Eden. Orokusaki says, we making shields? Yeah. A little shield icon. Nothing crazy. Conic says, have you ever had to deal with 2 game projects at once? If so, how did you deal with it? I'm doing it right now. I actually have 7 game projects right now at once. My idea is that, so the one of the main motivation that I started doing the issue ticket, planning then doing a ticket, is so that I can manage multiple games and context switch better. So we'll find out if it works. Husam says, good choice. Keep it. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay. So that's under combat. I think it's UI. It's not stamina display. It's actually an armor display. Do I make a folder for it? I'm going to. So I'm going to say armor display. Create a sprite here. Armor icon, which will be PNG here. Is there any multiplayer game that people play these days that are pretty fun? And don't say Arc Raider because I couldn't get into it. I heard this new game that's coming up that looked pretty interesting. There's also an extraction shooter. Hey, wait, how do I move this? What the heck? It's all the way up here. I can't change it. Is this just how it's gonna be? I guess. Okay, well, whatever. Uh-huh. Weird. Armor icon. I mean, technically this could have been a texture rect instead of this, but we'll see. Do that here like that. And I think I'll just keep it like this and maybe put a armor label as well. So this one will say like 2, 3 or something like that. And I'll change the color for it. I'll just try to keep this like in here like that. And then keep it a center. I mean, this is going to be, we'll see. Okay. And then I'll keep this as a black font. There you go. So it stands alone. Okay. Let's see. Baka Design says, hi Baka. Eden says, procrastination, that's how you deal with the other game. Yeah, you just ignore it. Pretend that it doesn't exist. That's how you deal with it. Hold on, I gotta answer these messages here, I think. I'm supposed to meet with one of our viewers today. Well, not in person. I've been working with them for helping them with scoping and planning their game project with like system design and stuff like that. So it's like a one-on-one. So just an FYI, that is a service I provide. If you can, if you're at that stage. I do recommend that you come ready with the idea already formed, because I don't want you to waste your money doing homework. Okay. Okay. There we are. Orokusaki says League of Legends, very calm and relaxing. Oh, of course. You know, I quit League of Legends a long time ago. Like, I'm kind of tempted to play it. So my go-to competitive game right now, online game, is Marvel Rivals. And it's starting to feel a little bit messy. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm like my skills shine as much. Like, it's not as important, my skill. I mean, I guess I can't say that until I get to the top. Like, I'm diamond right now. So maybe I'll do that first. But I want to feel a very like skill-based tight control, either MMO or competitive game. So Soldan says, there is a new game coming from this Korean American dev, Ezra. I'm looking forward to that game. Oh, wow. I never heard of him, actually. Prod says, hi. Hi, Prod. Welcome. Welcome. All right. So we have the armor here. HP label is good. Armor icon is also going to have the label here. We're going to make it so that the armor icon and that armor label gets updated at a certain time. We're going to say func update armor, which will come with value, I suppose. And that's going to set the armor value here. Which part of me is like, should I even keep track of that? Maybe not. You know what? This is just purely a display. I think I'm just going to probably do one of these things. We're going to just set the value because the data is available. It has the whole number. I'm not incrementing it. I'm setting the armor value. So that's good. And we're going to say if the value is greater than 0, then it's visible. Otherwise, it's going to be invisible. That should be good enough, I want to say. Devi says, I forgot how to gift on YouTube. It's okay. It's okay. You can do, I think you can do super chat or membership gift. Oh, that's new. This used to be not a thing. It's like gifted sub. Huh. So if you go over here, there's membership gifting. This is a new feature. Maybe some people have been gifting. Devi, have you been gifting membership to people? I've been noticing that there were more members these days. I'm not sure if that's just me getting better. Ah, dang. I thought I was doing well. No, it was all Devi. Process. What's the engine? It's Godot. Godot. Process. I can't see because my screen is too small. I see. It's Godot engine. We are working on our little roguelike strategic combat game where you build your character. Okay, so I made the icon. That means during the display update, when the display update gets the player update on player info change, we have to grab the player icon. Wait, oh, I didn't even connect the health, huh? Update player. This is it. Okay, so we're gonna go to the update player. This grabs the player information to update it, and we're going to simply player body, update armor with player info. Armor. Beautiful. Does that just straight up work out of the box? I hope so. If I did everything correctly. Oh, heck yes. Look at that. Beautiful. And I don't know, I don't have any more stamina. Now, the question is, should the armor be permanent, as in permanent throughout the combat, or should it last one turn? I feel like it should last one turn. What do you think? Process coding language is GD script. Is a native language to Godot. I heard that it's Pythonic, so it's very Python-like. It's a GD script scripting language that comes with the engine. A lot of people like to use C sharp, I believe, with it. I just stick with the basic stuff because I want to be part of the development of the scripting language. Conic says, sadly, my PC can't handle Marvel, so I'm stuck to Overwatch. Ugh. Since I deleted, I'm basically a Blizzard, anti-Blizzard now. I got disappointed several times, first of all. I really enjoyed Overwatch 1. And then the whole, like, it started to go downhill once they released the whole, like, Diablo Mobile, and then the whole meme with, what? You guys don't have phones? That. Plus all the, like, ownership changes, Overwatch 2 just being a money grab, and, like, all these things kind of built up to be like, okay, I quit. So no more Blizzard game for me. I might go back to League. It seems like there are a lot of new champions to learn, so I'm not sure. Deadlock looks pretty fun. I played a few times, but it seemed like the learning curve was pretty big, so I'm not sure if I can actually be good there. Process C# is the best, not gonna lie. It's pretty good. Baka's the same here. I plan to buy a new laptop, but waited too long. Now I will wait a bit more, or maybe rob a bank. Gee, okay. Baka says, usually it lasts one turn, and some special skill or ability could make it stay till next turn. Okay, so let's make it so that the armors last only one turn, meaning at the beginning of the turn it goes away. Whatever remaining armor should go away. Remove remaining armor, which we're calling armor. Okay. I feel like negating damage is more fun than negating hit, right? When it comes to armor. And then have a dodge is negating hit. That's right. Reset armor. It's kind of fun to do these like functions through the controller. It definitely cleans it up. The headache of figuring out what I need to do is definitely being cleaned up here. Okay. So player turn, I can defend, I can move and turn. At the beginning of the turn, armor is reset and stamina is increased by 2. Okay, I'm going to say we did defend now. We did move, defend, done. What's remaining? Let's push this in just in case. Defend action and armor icon based on player armor info added. That also means that I have to do enemy armor, but that's probably a separate ticket. I don't know who's going to give enemy the armor. Husam says, how can I use animation tree node to add multiple animations to make a good system with blending animations? Because I don't know how, and when I want to add animations, I use signals in code. I like using tween a lot of times, but animation tree, I would say I'm not an expert on that. I have been avoiding it quite a lot. I do a lot of things like animation control through animation player plus code as opposed to using the tree. And then I do like blending and stuff via tween and actual function calls, which works. But I do feel like I'm skipping out on using some of the extra things. For you, Hussam. Godot animation blending. You should be able to see it right here. Boom. Using animation tree. Ta-da! Here's a, wow, thorough lesson. Yeah, go take a look. I mean, you can teach me. It's long, but it's there. Thanks for the sub, Zenny, on YouTube. Okay. XLuxC Dev says, maybe add decrease armor as well, just for completeness. You know what? You're right. Why not? Why not is I'm trying to do only the amount that I want to do, but I guess it's something that's going to happen because when I calculate the hits, it's going to happen anyway. So you're right. Um, okay. It's warning me. Oh, right. Technically, nobody should call this directly because I want the armor decrease unless we have like a vulnerable thing. That's going to be interesting. A combination of vulnerability and armor. Devi says, my berry is an old man now, lol. Yeah, it's the wise berry. It's our favorite berry. It's one of our first. Aw. You can change your berry. You know that, right? So if you do berries, you get list of berries you own. You can say change berry and then choose the berry folk that you want. Like that. Yeah, it's a lot of commands. Husam says, and I have to change the code every time, and that's disgusting. It's true. Well, it's up to you, you know, to think if it is disgusting or not. All right. What are we doing here? Oh, we've been streaming for a while. Hey, no connection issue today. Imagine that. Jacob says, I'm a wizard, Barry. You're a wizard, Barry. Hey, yo. Hey, what you get? You need to plant. Hey, you can jump. By the way, you guys can jump to get on top of things. Jump. Or you can kick people. By the way, okay, I didn't explain the minigame. You see how I have 3 crowns? If you successfully kick someone with a crown, you get to steal their crown. If you have a crown, one of their crown at least, each crown gives you a % chance of getting a shiny next time you plant. So I start with all 3 crowns. And when you have all the crowns, you get like 60% chance of getting a shiny. So it's worth it to try and steal if you can. It's a mini game if you want to collect them all. Hussam says, man, wow, just wow. I used Godot docs once and I didn't understand it well, so I didn't use it again. But now, thanks to you, I understand it. Yay! I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but they have a lot of stuff there. Go check it out. I mean, for that specifically, that's how I would learn it. It might be a little confusing, but of course, there's also a lot of other YouTube videos. It makes me think that I should make one, but then I don't like making videos unless I understand fully, so it's going to take me a while. Devi says, my berry isn't jumping or kicking. What? Try it again. Let me watch. It might be delayed. It might be delayed. It seems like it's delayed. What? Did it? Wait, did it do it? It didn't do it. Wait, why is it not working? It's just delayed. Okay, I see. Some said, oh no, we already read that. Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna continue here. So what do we just do? We added decrease armor. We're gonna reset the armor. We did that. Okay, this one. Not me committing after every change, but I think that's the right way to do it, right? Add decrease armor function for controller. Okay. Next task. We're working on, we did the guard here. Let's do dodge is a little bit hard. I guess we'll toggle a flag saying that the player is currently dodging, and then we'll do stab action. Okay. So dodge is simple. Func set dodge or apply dodge, which will be player information dodge enabled. It'll just be is dodging, and then it'll be true here, and we're gonna update that. No graphic indicator of it yet. We could add an item for that. Plan for graphical indicator of what dodging looks like. Wait, is it dodging? Is dodging true here? And I suppose reset dodge would get rid of that, and that one also needs to be done in the beginning of the turn. So on turn, state manager, player's turn start, remove dodge state, combat controller, reset dodge here, and then we're gonna have a dodge action. And on the implementation of the action is where we simply call apply dodge. It's easy enough. That's going to work as is. That's also one action. Now we're gonna do stab. Stab is target selection. So that means we gotta have indicator for selecting a unit. Devi says, I've been trying to kick the sonic rings out of Ezra Sperry, but my old member is so slow. you gotta do it with the timing. Here, how about I change it to something faster so you get a more chance here. Change Barry Allen. There you go. Maybe this will be easier. More chance for people. Where's my... I lost track of where I was. It's one of these tabs. Devi says, just running by my old man. Yeah. I mean, that's why it's fun. It's a little game. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna try to do this like unit selection thing and maybe close out today. Let's see. I'm going to add a area for selection, a pickable area. Pickable. And it's basically listening to the mouse click here. And then we're going to add a little circle. And maybe we'll just do it like this. Not sure how big it actually needs to be. Maybe I need to do it like this. This will be really hard with multiple characters in the same tile. I'm going to have to figure that part out. But we'll see. Enemy AI. This one actually will have a state called... We'll have armor, but I think since this is a character as well, we're going to have is hover. Is... How about pressed? Probably will have to have a signal that says selected or picked. And that's going to do something. It's not being used in the class yet. That makes sense. And then on hover, I should probably draw a outline around them. Thanks for the follow, Nerdy Fool. All I see is Devi just kicking. That's funny. Nobody can get my crown. Try it. I dare you. Just about to turn people into jam. That would be funny if you get kicked 5 times. You become a jam. Nerdy Fool, thanks. Nerdy Fool says, Godot for the win. Exactly. For the win, indeed. Hey, thanks for the sub on YouTube as well. Wow. Double whammy here. Okay, so Pickable will come through here. Oh, they made a new tab just for Signal. History. Interesting. Okay. 4.6. I see you. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna do mouse centered here for hover. And then mouse exited for hover here. Simply goes just going to say is on and off. Pretty easy, this one. And then we're gonna have to handle GUI input. Ba-ba-ba-da. Pew. There you go. We're going to also have is pick enabled. By default is false. And then we're going to see if the event is mouse button and event is action. Not action pressed. Boom. Then we're just going to signal out picked. Beautiful. Now that's the enemy character. If I go to my board display and then the board map actually has a state manager. And the way it goes through different state is it has a selecting tile mode and it has a selecting body mode. Transition right now seems to be triggered by setting this state variable mode to either select body or select tile. So we'll do that. We already have that. Start body selection mode here. Seems like it's all there. When the tile selection mode starts, we set the tile selection enabled. When the body starts, I'm going to trigger the map. We're going to set body selection. Oh, I already implemented it. Wait, no, that's different. We're going to have one here. Func set enable body selection. And that one is going to go through everybody. Look for character tile is pick enabled, will become enabled here. And that's what we're going to do. So selecting body in the beginning, set enable body's selection to be true. On exit, we're going to say not true. And then when the body gets selected on update, when on board map enemy selected, which I guess who signals that? Ah, this one. I see. It's going to transition out. Enemy selected in particular is not emitted right now. So we're going to try to emit that. We should probably connect it to character. So when the character gets instantiated with new body, we're going to connect it to new body picked. We'll connect it to on character body picked. And then we're going to bind if it is player body or not, actually. So func we're gonna say on character body picked is player will be the Boolean value, and then body will be passed through. So hold on, probably we will have to bind both of those. Gotta find this though. So we're gonna do true and new body here. I think this is player body. Enemy body is over here. And this one's going to be false. Cool. Nerdy Fool says sexy tab. Oh, thanks. Well, I don't know. What are we talking about? Wait, I said thanks, but I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, thank you. I appreciate. I can always use a compliment on my sexy tab, I'm sure. Husam says, do you think Godot will be free forever? Yes, legally it will be. In that, like, okay, so there's no guarantee in the future version, but as far as I'm concerned, the current version, like right now, 4.6, will be free forever. They can't retroactively make open source code unopen source. There's a chance that they might switch over because they got acquired or something. And then the newer versions are not. But like as long they've already chosen a path, so to speak. Because right now it's an open source. So if they switch, if people are unhappy with that, then whatever feature they add, the open source community can fork and add features to the free version, free fork of the code. So in theory, yes, forever. It has to be. But I guess in practice, it really depends on the community. Okay, so on character body picked, I'm not going to discriminate between player and enemy character. I'm just going to kind of send it out. Say enemy selected. And then we're just going to emit the body's ID here. Yep, there you go. And then that's going to be available. I want to do a little hover action. Ideally, I want to do a process where the hoveredness applies this texture, shader material. We'll just create a new simple shader, probably outline shader. Let's put that under UI board, I guess. We'll create a shader for an enemy character here. And then the shader code, this one is pretty simple, I think. All I'm saying is uniform outline with bool, uniform outline color will be this. Wait, hold on. We got to do it this way, actually. And then this one is going to be VAC4, aka source color. And I believe what I need to check is the texture. So I'll say, not far, VEC4 texel, which will be texture of the current texture in a UV. And we say, hey, if the texel's alpha is 0 and its neighbor, right, top down, left, right, is neighbor pixel, then color is going to be outline color. Otherwise, we leave it alone. I mean, that's essentially it. This one will probably have to be some sort of function call. I would say, is the current UV neighboring pixel given the texture, which I think might be available, but we'll see. So we'll say, oh, this one will be a Boolean. Is neighboring pixel will have a sampler 2D for texture, and then vec2 for UV here. Return false. I think a sampler texture is sampler 2D, unless it's a sampler 2D array. It says invalid argument to operator float int. There you go. Okay. Outline color. Like so. All right, so we're just detecting neighbor. We're going to get the neighboring pixel. We can do that by taking the UV. Oh, well, we got to get the diff, I think. So vec2 pixel size, or yeah, pixel size will be pixel texture pixel. Oh, I need to provide that, huh? Texture pixel size, I think. Is it not? Which will be vec2. It'd be vec2 pixel size, I think. Is this a thing? Hopefully that is a thing. That means this is a ratio of UV to the pixel, meaning UV vec2 left pixel will equal to UV minus pixel size X and 0. Right pixel, upper pixel, and right, up, down. Right will be plus, up is minus Y, I think. And then down is plus pixel size. And the check is vec4 left pixel, which will be texture of the I gotta rename this sample. Texture of the sample on left pixel UV. Vec4 is right pixel, which will be texture of the sample on the right pixel UV. So on and so forth. Sample of the up pixel. Vec4 of the down pixel will be texture of the sampler of the down pixel. And then I'm going to basically check if their alphas are greater than 0. If any of them are greater than 0, then we're neighboring a pixel. I think. Okay. It's yelling at me. Oh, because I called it sampler instead of sample. Hopefully. Kevin says, Husam, I think Godot will remain free because it's open source. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea here. Quilly says, I just spent an hour trying to figure out why my player wouldn't go in the forwarding direction of my camera, only to find I never assigned the player to camera. Tisk tisk. that that happens too many times, I think. Digital says, debugging is always just a methodical process of challenging your own assumptions. It really is. What assumption did I make? I assumed that I wasn't an absolute idiot when I was implementing this. That's the biggest assumption I make, I think. Cooley says, it's funny because I put a safeguard where if player is null, it won't do anything. So because I never crashed, I never suspected anything. Hey, this is why we need to throw errors. You done played yourself. Exactly. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to test this. I guess I could give a texture here. Let's give one here. Hey, yo. Oh, wait. That's not me. I was like, oh, wait. What? It is working. Hold on. I'm so confused. Wait, why is it working? I got surprised. Not me being like, oh my gosh, it's working. Ah, shoot. I got surprised by my own ability. Okay, so it's not working in that I forgot to put the Boolean value as part of it. I guess we don't do return here. What is it? It's there was a function for it. You don't return in discard. Yes. But we're not discarding. We want to actually set the card here. We want to color, or is it discard? Discard makes it so that it doesn't do anything, right? No, it makes it so that it deletes it. Ah, I do have to set it then. And we're going to say outline and. So if I turn this off. Hey, yo, look at that. Pretty sick. Wouldn't you say? Have you ever seen a shader just work the first time you try? I'm special right now. No one can say any otherwise. All right, I'm gonna put this under process. I mean, technically I could put the digital update here, but I have plenty of processing power, so I'm gonna put it under process, and no one's gonna tell me otherwise. I'm right. You're wrong. We're going to grab its material. And then that is going to be shader material. And we'll set shader parameter called outline to true if it is hover. Boom. Boom, bop, bam. Yep. I do think the hoverability. Whatever. We'll see. Okay. So on the action right now, I made it so that on combat display, Hi, Quibble. Hey, I know you. Says, yo, haven't caught you live yet. Subscribed a while ago. What you're working on? I'm just working on my little weekly challenge thing. I don't know if you've seen it, but I started 3 weeks ago this like developer community based accountability group in some sense. It's like AA meeting except for developers, indie developers who are permanently addicted to starting new projects. The idea is that we're going to finish our game this year, hopefully. And we're saying basically, I'm going to do weekly update, low effort, low edit videos describing what I am planning to do and what I have achieved in a week. But kind of like do it in a step where it makes sense of like this is an example of how you would manage your project to finish and bring to completion. Pace with me. If not, it's okay. Here's a step. And I've invited people to join my Discord and update their weeklies. So they've been doing weekly update, sharing what they are planning to do, what they're doing. It's been a great time. So I'm working on that game. And this particular game is a Baldur's Gate 3 inspired little game. I want it to be a Slay the Spire plus Baldur's Gate. And this is a mock up. So we have the tile based game here where you can click on things to get to different area. So it's like a very like condensed version of that tactical challenge. The main fun I'm looking for is character building because item building is what I want to do. So like passive item effect plus your ability and talent tree. So there's going to be a character talent tree plus this roguelike aspect. So right now I've done my system design already. I did the mock-up. So currently we're on the prototyping phase. Oh yeah, most important thing. The focus right now is to say the focus of the gameplay and making the game is small game where you can experience the fun of the game as a player within 5 minutes of the gameplay. So that's something that I'm really focusing my lens on right now. Husam says, I got a question. If the engine is fully free, how the Godot team get paid? Donations? I mean, that's essentially it. Quibble says, oh, that's actually really cool. Sounds like something I might want to join. Yeah, hell yeah, join. Share your stuff. And part of the thing that I do is I also highlight people's devlog. If they have their own channel, you know what's cool? Some people actually feel motivated enough to start their own channel too. So we've been getting some people who are starting out their channel. And of course, if you want to advertise, I mean, I know you already have enough people, but we can get your name out there too, if that matters. But it's more focused on the gameplay, so maybe that does matter. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Quibble says, yeah, that's actually sick. I'll join up. Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks. Here, Discord. Have fun. We are looking forward to people's update. And also, it's kind of surprisingly a good space for people to socialize as well. I've been seeing a lot of uptick in my Discord channel. Mike R says, this is how they get paid. How they get paid. Oh, okay. Let's see. Godot community. How to contribute. Oh, fundraising. There's donation. There's a foundation, donation drives. I mean, yeah. You heard right. Simply publishing a game made with Godot can positive impact. Yes, yes, yes. That doesn't really directly. Yeah, so it is donation, and which makes sense because think about this. If I am a big game company that is using a game engine, for example, that is free, and then I benefit a lot from it, I would be motivated to donate some money if I become successful. Even if I'm not, some people are feeling generous enough to donate. For example, my dialogue plugin that I created like 2 years ago, that got me actually a lot of unsolicited donation. Nothing to live off of, obviously, but you know, people be like that sometimes. Devi says, it's me. I am working on getting stuff for my channel. Yeah, exactly. Devi is, we got a lot of new YouTubers out here going on. What I'm excited about though, the one other thing I'm trying to do, so I do a channel that's for other developers, right? I want to make a channel as an experiment that targets players. Because I saw a lot of questions about like, hey, like I know you have abilities and your target is other developers, so you are advertising it this way, and your success doesn't really attribute to the same way that I would if I were making a game and trying to advertise the game. It's true. So I want to actually take all my knowledge on making YouTube videos as a developer for developers and do an experimental channel, a new one for this game, trying to use it as a marketing tool for selling my game and see if I can learn anything. And that would be interesting insight for other developers, I think. Let's see. Cooley says, I play myself. On the plus side, I have a cool old school 3D camera system now. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, it's always good to see the positive of things. It's working. Wait, why is it working? Classic programmer line. Yeah. Did I say that? It's always. Digital says starting and finishing a game in 1 year. Yeah, no. We're going to start and finish a game. I'm hoping that I have like a good looking prototype within next 6 months, but we'll see. Devi says, one of us. Exactly. Digital says free labor contributors is definitely a thing, but there is a main team, like the core team. That's just more than free labors. Digital says that's real. The Bite Me Games team says that they have a hard time sharing their actual games on their channel for devs. Exactly. That's something I noticed. That's why I also don't like advertising. I stopped mentioning a making channel as a marketing tool rather than a testing tool. I like it as like testing attention grabbing because visually, topically, YouTube algorithm is unforgiving if it is not something that people would be interested in. And it does really a lot to find people that would be interested in your stuff. So it's a great testing tool, but it doesn't, right now, I don't think anybody has really used it for successful marketing tool because also us game developers are kind of cheap, aren't we? We kind of are. We're the worst target group for advertisement, by the way, because we don't buy stuff. We get advertised. We try to find things that are cheaper version of that, or we try to find our own solution. So we're not a good group to advertise to. So I want to see what targeting players are like. Let's see. Wild Eye says, wait, is this something that's open to brand new people? Trying to learn myself, but I have no idea what I'm doing yet. No, yeah, of course. You can learn anywhere. Anybody from beginner to advanced, take your time. Even sharing your, I'm learning this, I'm looking for this, that is also an upgrade. The whole point is that we're trying to be accountable for each other. We're having a good time together, seeing other people's progress to be inspired, looking at other people's art, all these things, to keep us and ourselves in the community. So yes, join up, dude. Husam says, I know there is a donations, but is it enough? Is it enough? I don't know. We'll see. Kevin says, I mean, they're running, so. Kevin says, yo, hi, Quibble. Excited to participate in your game jam. My first one starting Sunday. Oh, you have a game jam going on, Quibble? I'll have to go check it out, too. I have yet to got to a point of hosting a game jam that I feel confident about. But yeah. Ruin says, hey, Ezra, just some quick feedback. Your last video was highlighting great progress with your community project. But for a new viewer, I had no context as to what you were talking about. Yeah, I mean, that's the downside to it being a series. I try to focus. Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. I'll take it and make it better. So this is the tricky part of the video making. Every video is judged individually by the algorithm, meaning topically a single video needs to stand alone. So when it starts and the introduction shows up, it needs to feel like it's its own thing that I don't need context for. But at the same time, when you provide things that are coming from other contexts, I have to be quick about it. So there's that like weird balance of like, here's a new topic, you don't need anything else, but here's a thing that's been going on, like handoff. So I need to make sure I could do that properly. Ruin says, maybe it's for the best. I want to join, so now I feel like I need to watch the previous ones. Haha. I mean, I want you to watch the previous one. That's the whole point. That helps with the algorithm. If you watch a video and that makes you want to watch something else in the same channel, it's a loop. They push that. Okay. Buy Me Games team says, and then we heard about that. Digital says, why would I buy a game when I could spend years making one? Exactly, right? Why would I spend $120 on a special collector's edition of Ghost of Yote if I can make my own? Exactly. My car says, Ezra, have you got any resources for starting multiplayer in Godot? How many times are you guys going to ask me that? No, I don't have it, but go look at the document. I'm sure that's where I would start. I would go to the Godot engine documentation first and figure it out. It seems like, okay, since last time someone asked, I actually have a tab open. I have a tab open of the Godot documentation because this is like my passive reading in between. I just still don't feel confident enough to make a video on it, but it's something. And documentation is everything, I think. My car. Okay. Anyways, all right. So where were we at? We're on the issue ticket here. We said we're gonna do dodge. I think the dodge is being toggled. There's no visual indicator, so it's hard to tell. Oh yes, player selection. That's right. So that's where we're at. We wanted to do a stab action. Stab action here. And then I wanted it to trigger a board character selection. So we have new function called request enemy selection. Let's go to character selection here. I will discriminate. I don't know if I'm going to make it so that like player selection versus character selection is a thing. We'll probably do that. Bring up the board map, and then we're going to say start body selection mode. And this is where I'm going to stop and test real quick. I want to test that the character body gets highlighted appropriately. So we're going to say request character selection here as part of the stab action. Boom. So, oh, okay. You see what's happening? They all share the same shader here. So they all get highlighted all together. One of the things I need to do is make sure that the shader or material becomes unique. So we come over here and we'll set this as make unique. Wait, not that. The material needs to be unique, right? Yeah. I don't know. Hold on. Just the material, right? The code doesn't have to be unique, I think. Oh, I guess I do. Is there a better way to do this? Maybe local to scene. Oh, that's what I probably need to do. We're going to take the shader and make it local to scene. No? Do I actually need to just make it unique everywhere? That seems silly. Oh, maybe I need to do this one? Yes, that works. Okay. So they're highlighting one at a time. Hold on. There's a big circle around the character here. A little bit too big. Though it shouldn't be selectable right now. The hover should be turned off. I'm going to make it so that the hover... You know what? I'm going to have the outline be different color if it is disabled and hovering versus active and hovering. Active meaning the game is expecting you to choose a character, like to select a character, versus just hovering for information. So let's do that. This circle is indeed way too big. So I'm going to do it like that. And then I'm going to come over here and then choose something here. Let's see. I'll set the colors. I'll do export colors here. Export var disabled hover color and enabled hover color here. And then when we are hovering under the process, right here, we're going to set the outline color to be either the disabled hover color or enabled hover color, based on the flag is pick enabled. There you go. Cool. And then once that is set up, I come over here and choose the hover color here. I'm going to say enabled will be maybe something green-ish. And then disable for now will be just something gloomy, maybe like this, something darker like that. All right, test again. So I'm going to do my wall and range. Okay, it's backwards. It is changing, but it's backwards. We got to make it blue for disable. Oh, I changed it. I flipped it. Okay, so this one is going to be something like that. This one is going to be something like that. All right, that should work now. So if I'm hovering, it's a regular highlight, and hopefully there's an additional information that gets displayed for the character. Pressing doesn't do anything. And if I do this, it spends 2 action, and I can select. It's a bright yellow line now. I should be able to click and then do something. All right, stab action is implemented for the handling of the character selection. It doesn't care about the range right now, so I need to change that. Darth Blashman. Hi. Ooh, ad. Sorry, ad just started. Okay, I'm gonna turn on ad on YouTube as well so that it's synced with Twitch. And those of you who are not impacted by the ad, congratulations. Thanks for being here. All right. Same thing. Right now, I'm gonna apply direct damage. So I'm just gonna make it so that it just deals damage by default. But instead, I'm gonna create a new issue for attack roll hit miss as a feature. Add game logic and display logic for applying attack rolls, or not applying, performing attack rolls for hitting, missing an attack, and calculating damage. So that's going to be a separate issue. Still MVP for prototype. And thanks for the sub, NB, on YouTube. Welcome. So I'm going to keep that as a separate thing. And I'm just going to say the stab is right now infinitely ranged. Yeah, infinitely ranged attack. Though I don't know if it should be like specifically for tile selection only. Should all the moves be tile based? Like Into the Breach? Because Into the Breach doesn't have any like player selection. Mythical says, "What game jam? What do you mean, what game jam? There's no game jam here. I'm not doing it for game jam. We're just doing it for fun." But Quibble here was another Godot YouTuber out here. Was here, and then somebody was saying Quibble is starting a game jam. It's coming up, so go check it out. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm kind of torn. I want to make it so that it's not. The actions are tile based instead of target based. I mean, there's like interesting impact of friendly fire, like utilizing enemies' friendly fire. If that's the case, I mean, that was a big part of. But I guess, I don't know. We'll think about that later. Digital says, I mean, Into the Breach has plenty of character selection. Yeah, it does. I do think that implementing, like, what I mean is not character selection as in like selecting a different character to play with, but I mean like when you're performing an action, actions are always on the board, not on the target. Does that make sense? It's not. I mean, it is for the target, but it's target on the board. Like the selecting a tile is equivalent to selecting an enemy, right? Mythical says, "Oh, thanks. Sorry. Yeah, no problem. It's okay. You could ask." Yeah, Digital says, "I see what you mean. It's all positional." Yeah, it is all positional, which makes the implementation a little bit simpler, right? Because I could always say, implement effect on the units on the tile, generically, as opposed to identifying, is this a effect that goes on the board versus it's an effect that goes on the target. I do feel like in terms of understanding and grokking exactly what is going to happen, being more consistent that way seems simpler to understand. And also simpler to implement. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to say select a tile, and I will play the damage animation over the tile, and whoever's on the tile gets impacted. Makes sense, I think. So we're going to request tile selection, and then when the tile selection happens, Digital says, yeah, you could have a poison cloud on a tile, which is different than on the character who might even be immune. Yeah, exactly. And the implementation seems like it's a lot easier to kind of separate out the responsibility between the units and the tiles. Mythical also says, what type of game are you making? Is it a board game? I just saw this on YouTube recommended and I hopped on. Oh yeah, great. Well, let me show you. So this looks really ugly right now because we're on a prototype phase. But basically, I'm thinking about some sort of like tile-based combat thing, but very heavily inspired by Baldur's Gate 3. So the mock-up that I have looks something like, let me check my message off stream actually, just in case. Looks something like this. I mean, this is the ideal mock-up I just made up. And the idea is you have these like attacks and move sets that are determined by what kind of weapons and gears you have and what kind of talent tree you're going through, which we plan, by the way. We have a talent tree. And then there are passive effects that gets applied through the items. So the whole idea is you're building a deck, except you're building a character in a sense that you're like building a deck to make your character stronger. And then you explore by doing one of these like roguelike exploration. That's the game. Hey, I got pretty good at answering these questions, I think. But here we are. Okay. So let's see. Hussam says, Ezra, do you know G develop? G develop? G develop? No. Is this a person? G develop. Free, fast, easy game engine. Oh, no. I have no idea. What is that? No, I have never heard of it. Hey, If you ask me if I'm knowledgeable about anything, my answer is probably no. Debbie says, I went grocery shopping and made dinner all while watching the stream. Lol, stream goals. Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's like we're next to each other. Mythical says the map reminds me of Inscription. Inscription, Slay the Spire. I mean, Slay the Spire is where I took the inspiration from, so more Slay the Spire, but it makes sense because a lot of the roguelikes take that approach. Even, I mean, digital's here, so it feels a little weird to say, but even FTL does a lot of those like graph-based map as a roguelike. Digital says, I've learned that anytime you can use indirect channels to cause effects, that can be great for emergent gameplay. Yes, I agree. Emergent gameplay is what I'm talking about. The whole like solving a puzzle, solving a problem with a non-specified answer can only happen when there are these like non-discriminatory effects. So I like it. I'm going to say tile selection here. The way I connected, I do believe I need to connect. Let's see. Move action. I'm going to apply it from move action here. I did this. So stab action, we can have on tile selection. We're going to connect the thing like so. So we have signal that gets controlled. So on tile selection, it gives me the tile selection and the controller. So I could even ask the controller to get bodies on tile and give tile index, which will provide technically, instead of getting the body, I want to get the information. So I will say get enemies on tile, which will give me the player information, which is good because this is information. So I'll say get enemies on tile. I give the tile information, and then I'm going to get array of enemy info. And then, of course, that also means get player on tile. Is this necessary? Maybe not. We'll see. I have a feeling it's not necessary, but it's more like, is player on tile, I guess. Is player on tile? That's more of a question that we want to ask, I suppose. Mythical says, the map reminds me of Inscription. What do you mean by emergent gameplay from indirect channels? Think Breath of the Wild. Emergent gameplay is gameplay that emerges, right? The kind of the gameplay and solutions and method of playing that is not planned by the developers. It's naturally emerging because of the game mechanic. The indirect channel being what we were just talking about. We were just talking about the gameplay where if I attack a person, do I attack the tile and then whoever is on there gets damaged, or do I target a person specifically? Right? And we were talking about how attacking the tile, which is indirect effect, I am applying an effect into an area where elements in that area can get affected and in unique ways. So as a coding challenge, I don't have to decide what happens to the target. I just decide this is happening, and each of the target decides what they're doing. And in that combination of effect, that indirectness, emergent gameplay can come out, like those like skips that happen on Breath of the Wild and such, which I really like, the fact that game can do that. Digital says, oh yeah, FTL, Slay the Spire, whatever. All the roguelikes seem to have that same map fork thing nowadays. It is a very like summarized way to show randomized choices. It's like really distilled version of a map, essentially, really. Something that I do want to add on top of that, though, that I don't think these things do as much, is add a point of interest that are based on the actual location. So for example, like no matter how random it is, it's like randomizing the events and connection point between point of interest, but you always have the city of, I don't know, city of Lost Arundum and Forest of the Hidden Magic. And they are always there and they always have an event, the same event type of thing. So like there's this like anchoring point of interest that are not random, that people try to game their way to go to different places on purpose for your build once they gain knowledge. Or like you can access like different area through a certain part of the map. That would be really cool. That would be very unique in terms of roguelike exploration, I think. That could be fun. All right. So get enemies on tiles. I have to do that. This one's going to be a little bit complicated, but it's definitely something from the board state. And board state could probably just do that straight up. I could even just call it from outside, I guess. So I'll say board state, enemy info, enemies, I guess. Enemy info, which is an array of enemy. All right, so I'm going to go through enemy info. Oh, I could even filter this since it's a duplicate. So I'll filter by, suddenly I developed a Lisp. This is what happens when you talk too much. Enemy info, return enemy dot, I think I could do this. Oh, whoops. Right. We're not on Java. The little secret is that I have been working on my coding interview skill again because I'm brushing it up just in case my life calls me for duty. Gee. So I'm going back and forth right now, a little bit confused. Everyone wish me luck so I don't have to do that. Position equals tile index. I think that should be good. So that's getting all the enemy information that is in that. And also this one is also simple then. Board state, player info, position, I think, is tile index. That's all that is to it. Wow. I really coded this clean. Things are just kind of pop, just fitting in where it should go. That's pretty sick. So that means I do controller, enemies, get enemies on tile, and provide the indices. And basically for enemy info in this, if it's empty, it's going to be an empty iteration. All I'm going to do is enemy info, health. We should damage the enemy, don't we? I should do this through controller actually, because there could be a damage here. Two things. Controller, apply effect on tile. We're going to give position index and then the effect type, which I guess for now we're going to say stab in string. We can update that later. Davey says, one of us, one of us. Jacob says, good luck on not becoming one of us. Hey, I was one of you guys not so long ago. I'm struggling out here trying to survive, you know, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. You know, until I pass the interview and then actually say I will accept the offer, you know, there's really no decision. So until then, I'll try my best here. All right, where are we at? Okay, so we are gonna apply effect on tile. That's great. This is the most generic functions that I've written for controllers so far. Oh, gee. Hey, thanks for the 2 more gift us up, Devi. Thanks. Appreciate it. Devi's like, here, take the gift us up. Appreciate it. Thanks. Now another day. We're gonna stave off another day of needing to go to work. Thanks, Devi. Why does this notification keep going off? Jacob says, I spent Monday and Tuesday doing budgeting to see if I can not do my job anymore. What's your conclusion, Jacob? Devi says, shut up and take my money. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, I can't complain. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, ma'am. I'll do my best. Mythical says, oh, I see. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, no problem. I don't remember what that was. Oh, yeah, I explained the indirect channel. Yeah. All right. Apply effect on tile. That was the tile index plus the effect name. And right now we're doing stab. Not doing anything yet. That doesn't do anything. But what I will do is we're going to inflict damage. Now, I do think we need to do a few things here. Hold on. I already have the enemy info. So I could do that. I could do past the enemy info. Damage amount. Right? And maybe damage type eventually. But for now, I think I'm just going to keep it this way. Digital says, if you could also budget for me to not do my job, that'd be great. Yes. Jacob says, I could make it for a surprising amount of time, assuming my investment keeps growing and I only take 4 to 5%. I would have to cut stupid stuff like DoorDash. Don't get me started on DoorDash. Stupid stuff like DoorDash and Uber, like just like taking rides. My money would have lost a lot longer. I mean, I've been doing this for what, like 2-3 years now? So I was actually surprised by how much I could have done this. But there comes a point where it's like, oh, investment is taking an interesting turn suddenly. And now it's like, shoot. I have some speculation that I'm betting on that I'm like, crap. Longer I can stave it off, the better it'll be. I am spending my potential. Stan says, potatoes and pork are cheap. I guess we could just all eat potato every day. Potato and protein powder. Mashed potato and protein powder. That's your meal. And maybe a little bit of fiber. We're going to get your fiber, natural fiber. Celery. Chia seeds. Poverty science right here. We got it. We got it, everyone. Controller. We have inflict damage here. We said we're going to have a target. Oh, geez. Goodness. Devi. 5 more gifted. Appreciate it. No, I feel great. This is great. I appreciate the support. I also feel bad. But I appreciate it so much. Look at that. Mike Gar got it. BrainZap got it. Watermelon Digital. Congrats, everyone. Now, everyone, thank Devi. Say thank you, Mama Devi. And don't make it weird. Sten says Huel does that, I think. I had a friend when I was so I went to Georgia Tech, and I believe the creator of what was it called? It's not Huel, but like there used to be a meal in a bottle before. And that person went to Georgia Tech, I think, like a similar year as me. And my friend was like so bought onto this, like he just ate that only, literally just that, and maybe had one meal a day. It didn't work out. It's not good. It's not complete. Jacob says, right, same trying to optimize it to barely touch investment for as long as possible. I did that. I had to start digging into investment, and it's sad, so sad. You know why it's so sad? Because it's like you're cutting out the potentials, and you're like, I know when it blows up, it's gonna blow up real hard. And every time I shave off like few $100 here and there, that's a dollar that could have been like a lot more. Can we cut the cost, please? Digital says, no need you to include me in your budget. Sen says, oh, wow, thanks. At Devi, thanks for the gift sub. Jacob says, dependent, I see now. Oh, the heart to Devi here. Brains says, free money, poggers. Exactly. Devi says, I gifted and it crashed my Twitch again. Twitch doesn't want you to spend money on me, I guess. Whatever. Boo, Twitch. Stan says, learning how to cook is such a good skill to put in time into. Cheap cuts of meat can be turned into really awesome things for just a little effort. It's true. It's true. Jacob says, yeah, a multiplier cut. Yeah, multiplier cut. No, it hurts. It hurts. Also, it's always like whenever I have to cash out for my monthly bill, that's when things are the lowest. Debbie says, it's like, oh, she's gifting again. She can't be great, crash her. Yeah, exactly. And then I crash. Yeah. I'm sorry. Twitch is against you at this point. We gotta submit a formal complaint. All right, so we're doing target here, which will be enemy info for now. And then the damage amount. We don't have any like damage calculation just yet. Ideally, if I was actually making something like Baldur's Gate, the rolling probably should be folded into the inflict damage, potentially. Yeah, we'll see. Oh my gosh, my hair is a mess right now. What's happening? I need to get a haircut. Here. Everyone. We're gonna use stream as a mirror right now. Like there's this one strand that just like comes out to the middle, like this. I hate that. It's making me look bald. But it's okay, nothing wrong with being bald. I'm just saying it makes me look bald. Let's see. Yeah, we got some thanking going on. Watermelon says, also, hello, Ezra. I have been awoken from my lurk. Yes, you have. Just in time. Devi says, welcome to the land of the living. Indeed, that's what we call it. We are indeed living. Inflict damage is going to take the target right now. And then we're just going to grab their health and subtract it. Nothing complicated here. And then I suppose I need to do the whole usual 0 damage amount here. And then this is a big no-no, I think, but we'll see. We're going to get the board state and say update enemy info. We're using this as kind of like the source of true. Oh, it's an array. You know what? There you go. Maybe I should do an array here. Nah, I shouldn't. We don't need to batch this. It's not going to be a lot. What am I, a service? Backend service? Thinking about batching. That's crazy of me. All right. So we're going to do just this. We're going to inflict 1 damage. Maybe we'll do 3 damage for now. See how that goes. Does the enemy's health update as we are right now? I don't think so. Board state. When the enemy gets updated, we're updating the enemy with the enemy info. Add. Enemy body, update with the info. Update the health. Okay, so it does seem like it's there. Sick. Should work. All right, we're going to do basic melee fight. Stab. Boom. It does work. Okay, I have no more stamina, so I'm going to have to end turn here. Oh, yeah. I can move. I can guard. I can end turn. I'm going to stab here. Boom. Heck yeah. They don't die right now, but I'm going to say this is working. So another ticket solved. Where is it? We already, I don't have the, so this one needs talent tree. So I didn't do the talent tree yet. Ability, base player action. Doesn't have the magic bolt, but I think this is good. So I'm going to call it quits here for this one particular. Add everything. We're going to commit that, and it's going to resolve number 23. Stab and dodge action. Dodge. Doge. Dodge action implemented. I'm going to push that in. So this is resolved. Let's see. We're going to do some review here. We got some other item ability that needs to be added. I do think, so we have this one, and then we have the range limit thing. So this should be the next thing I should work on if I wanted to make it good, because range is important. And then I need to do AI, I think. Before the items, I probably should do the AI first. That will make it playable. All right. That's it for today, I think. Hey, we earned a hype chest. What does that do? Hey, we got some new emotes that are available for the community. Is that what that is? Hey, that's so cool. Oh, look at that. Okay. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. Let's raid out here if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, you get a little bit more of me. A few more seconds. All right. Who do we have here? We got Big Boy. We got Fyra. We got JD. Votes? I mean, I feel like I went to JD and Big Boy recently, and we haven't been to Fyra in a while. Mythical says, do you stream every day? No, I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And sometimes I change. Come to our Discord. I make a announcement. Okay, I see Jacob voted for Fyra. It's the only vote I see, so we're gonna go Fyra. But here, I'll show you something. If you join our Discord, you got to make sure you do the channels and roles thing. Because if you click live stream as interest, I make announcements whenever I'm about to go on. I tell you in your local time what time I'll be going live. And then when I go, I make an announcement. It's much better than relying on the thing. So, hey, Foha's in Fyra's channel as well. All right. We'll go to Fyra. They're already there anyways. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. It's been fun. Made a lot of progress. We got some gifted stuff from Devi. Life is good. Devi said, I thought about gifting, and my Twitch crashed. Oh. It's like, no, you're done here, Devi. I'll just send you my email address. You can just send the money that way. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. This is not real. This is not happening. All right. See you, everyone. See you on Friday. Bye. Okay, you too. As soon as this thing goes through,